out after 11 o'clock?
He never got a notice that he needs to show up. Like, in his email, he never got a notice that he needs to show up prior to 11. So, to him, the only thing we ever said was show up.
Does that TV like just shut off by itself, or did Dada do that?
Oh, so it's different.
Because it was on
The
before.
TV, it is, but it's black.
Oh, yeah, but Dada, you have control, yes?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. All right.
I was like, it was on before I started.
Hello, peoples.
Hello, Internet. Hello.
Sitting in my holographic chair.
Yeah, I can sit in my chair too. Okay.
I'll sit down with Jared and Mike.
See that?
The fireside chat with Jared and Mike.
Okay, that sounds better, because a sit down with Jared and Mike makes it sound like one of you or both of you is in trouble.
It more sounds like everyone else is in trouble. And they're getting, no, I think it's like everyone else is in trouble, but Jared and Mike are giving you a stern talking
See,
to.
no, I heard it the other way. Like, we need to have a sit down with Jared and Mike.
I suppose, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which reminds me, we have to have a sit down with you guys.
To Wicked, I am doing the interview. I'm Commander. We're actually, this is slightly old school tomorrow, right? We've got original roles back. This is Orbit 10 level. Yeah.
Orbit.
I know, like that's not really old school, I suppose, but you know, yeah. We're,
Wow, back to last year, eh?
Yeah, one whole year ago.
Month is old school to you.
Hey, so I was thinking
Let's
about...
go really old school and put this freaking control service on your lap.
Oh my God. What'd you say, Carrie Ann?
I was thinking, I still like the call of the whole season in Orbit,
Yeah.
but I don't know. But I also like that each show is a transmission.
I feel like that's getting a bit too deep.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't think we need to like custom brand every single object inside the show. I like the, whoa, that was neat. Yeah.
To answer your question, Kitty, I can thankfully hear out of both my ears. Although it's not very good in either to begin with, so.
Benny, I get static from your mic.
From whose mic?
Static in general?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better when it's not in your pocket.
All right, I'm going to do a frequency scan. My mic is going to break.
Meanwhile, my shirt's not stiff enough to keep my microphone up off my chest. Every time I move, you can hear the...
Russell.
I need to change some of my wording on this. Because I talked to my boss about this yesterday at Griffith, and he was like, I'm not convinced. And I was like, oh. Okay.
What?
Neat.
All right, let me go fix that.
Did you get links in Rundown, Jared?
Yeah, I've got it for the show. I'm doing it for the Space Pod right now. So.
Okay, you got 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I know what's up.
Space Mike, you're all in?
Yep. Media notes, everything is in for me.
Well, I don't care about notes.
think we're all set.
You can change notes up until you speak them. I just want to make sure that all the media is in.
That's not true.
Yeah, media
Ooh,
is
Ben
in
just
and
said
locked
that's
down.
not true.
That's not true. We locked the rundown 30 minutes prior to the show.
Yes, that is correct.
Um,
I borked it today, so.
Yes, Dad, but that doesn't affect my task.
it's funny because there were a couple comments on YouTube about
You're welcome.
changing people like on the show and changing people's roles and this, that, and the other. And then it just so happened to work out that because of space and science being on the same day and the way that it all, everyone's schedules and everything, that it happens to be like this for space.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2,
With the
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Orbit 10
All right.
crew.
Yeah. So it kind of cracks me up. It was sort of like our guest on Science, where somebody was like, "Hey, you should have this guest," and they're like, "The next guest is that person, so good job." Same sort of thing about like, "Aw, like I kind of miss these people in these particular roles." Well, now these people happen to be in those particular roles, but it's like people speaking things into existence. And my chat room blew up.
Kaboom!
Whoa, mine too.
Yeah, that was planned.
Colton warned of it.
Okay, refresh. And I'm back up.
Everybody in? Everybody ready?
Here's the deal. We're going to give them a little bit more time to show up, but I think we're going to start segment 1. So, Carrie Ann, when you go to toss to segment 2, if you see the guest on the line in the guest box, go ahead and toss. Say, hey, we're going to have Frank from Orion Span. If you don't see the guest in the line, just say, we'll be right back, kind of thing.
Sure. How am I supposed to see that?
You see the box on your multi-view that says guest?
Next.
So the one right next
the one that currently has
to
me in
mine.
it? Yes.
Correct. If you see the guest in that box,
'Kay.
then you can toss to the guest. If you do not see the guest in that box, just give me a very general toss to break. Very, very, don't commit us to anything.
All right, which means in the cold open, I should also not mention that.
Shit.
Let's run two.
Yeah, I was gonna say just do 2 cold opens.
No,
We can just literally skip right over it. I mean, I can go directly from, hey, what's the news, Jared? You talk, Mike. You talk. Awesome.
Here's what we're gonna do. So let's do the whole first segment as live with guest. Just bring it up because I want him in the cold open. So do that correctly, and then if that doesn't fly. So we'll go through, and if he's still not on the line, then what we'll do is we'll go back, we'll re-record the cold open up through the citizen slate, and then we'll re-record the very last segment to get rid of him, and then we'll go to a roundtable. Does that make sense?
No, but sure.
Run it as is.
Yeah, that part I understood. Everything
Okay.
else after that.
So if there's no guest, we will read you.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's totally fine. Like, you don't have to explain it to me. Like, I get enough of it to understand what's going on. He's talking more technical stuff that has to do with you and him, and like, I don't need it. It's fine.
All right, let's start the show.
Do you know if it's Bunger or Bunger?
I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay. Welcome to tomorrow. I am Carrie Ann. I also have a Jared and a Mike. Now, today in news,
We have a drill far away back in action.
And we remember astronauts Alan Bean and Don Peterson.
absolutely. And then later, Ben will have an interview with Frank Bunger, who's the CEO of Orion Span. And of course, we take a look at your comments and questions from last week's show. This is Tomorrow, Orbit 11.22.
Good morning. How's everything up in the sky?
Now, before we jump directly into news, I want to make sure that I acknowledge our Escape Velocity citizens. These are the people who contribute $10 per episode, and if they get a whole lot of things, actually. They get their name in all 3 segments of the show. They get early access to After Dark. They get free worldwide shipping. Honestly, they get a lot of things. And if you are interested in becoming a citizen of tomorrow, you can head on over to patreon.com/TMRO.
That was a really good rehearsal.
Oh, we weren't recording. Fantastic.
Nice. All right, let's redo it. Also, Timikid says...
So it's Bunger, not Bunger. Is that correct? Bunger like burger?
Bunger like
Bunger
bunker?
like bungee jumpy? I need bungee jumping or burger is what I need to understand. To Wicked, I hate you so much.
Ja or ga?
I think I
Bunger
also,
like hunger.
Bunger like
Great.
hunger.
That'll work too. Thank you.
So,
I
I
also
think you said it right the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, but I had asked for a clarification.
Just want to make sure.
Perfect. Yeah, Bueller. We'll just go with that. Sure. Welcome to Tomorrow. I am Carrie Ann. I also have a Jared and a Mike. Now, today, what do we have in news?
We've got a drill far away back in action.
And we remember astronauts Alan Bean and Don Peterson.
Absolutely. And then later, Ben will be having an interview with Frank Bunger, who's the CEO of Orion Span. And of course, we take a look at your comments and questions from last week's show. This is Tomorrow, Orbit 11.22.
Good morning. How's everything up in the sky?
Now, before directly jumping into launches and news, I want to make sure we acknowledge our Escape Velocity citizens. These are the people who contribute $10 per episode. They get their name in all 3 segments of the show. They get early access to After Dark, and honestly, they get so much more. The list is exhausting. If you are interested in becoming a citizen of tomorrow, please head on over to patreon.com/TMRO. All right. So, Mr. Mike, again, we like to do news at the beginning of the show, but we always like to cover the launches that we might have missed in this last week, which I guess is kind of part of news. So, Mike, tell me what's happened the last week.
Well, we almost didn't have any launches this week, but thankfully there was one launch earlier this morning from China. And China launched another one of their Gaofen remote sensing satellites, but this was a civilian launch. So it was actually a bit of a surprise that we didn't know more about this launch ahead of time. But in any case, this Gaofen was designated Gaofen 6, and it launched earlier today. Let's check it out. The sound is a little bit delayed because of the, oh, there it comes, because of the distance. But yeah, this launch occurred at 4:13 Coordinated Universal Time from the Jiquan Satellite Launch Centers today, Saturday, June 2nd, aboard a Long March 2D rocket. The 2-stage rocket placed Gaofen 6 into its intended orbit, and the satellite will mainly be used for agricultural resources and disaster monitoring as well. As a designed life of 8 years, and Gaofen 6 is similar to the function of Gaofen 1, but it has better cameras, and its high-resolution images can cover a larger area of Earth. It's carrying a single 2-meter panchromatic camera, an 8-meter multispectral camera, and one 16-meter multispectral medium-resolution camera. This project also had a CubeSat that rode along with it called Liujiao 1, which is a Earth observation satellite built by the Wuhan University as a prototype for a constellation of 60 to 80 CubeSats that would potentially be flying in the future. And this was a 6-unit CubeSat that launched aboard with this. So that mission was successful, and hopefully we'll see a lot more launches next week.
Yeah, no kidding. That's always one of those things of like, I guess at this point, I just assume that there's going to be at least one.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's like that's amazing that we're living in this time now where it's like, if there's not a launch, that's a surprise.
Yeah.
Like, holy moly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention, too, for those of you keeping track, this was the 16th orbital launch for China this year. So we got to catch up.
Nice. We like a bing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Awesome. So, Mr. Jared, as we transition into more traditional news, you were talking about curiosity drilling. What's going on?
Yeah, so there's been a long-standing problem with a very critical part of the most advanced laboratory that we have wheeling around on the surface of Mars. But Luckily, they seem to have solved that. Now, we're talking specifically about Curiosity's drill, which has been sidelined since December of 2016, when torque sensors on it indicated problems were occurring during drilling attempts. So engineers on Earth at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory developed a new technique that would allow Curiosity to drill again, and after months and months of exhaustive testing and analysis, those commands were uplinked a few weeks ago. The new technique allows the drill bit to extend beyond two stabilizer posts, which were used to steady the drill's bit against the target. Now, this is specifically called feed extended drilling. It also involves Curiosity's robotic arm, using it to impart additional force on the drill. So much like what you may do with drilling when you're working on your own projects, you put the screw in, you screw it in a little bit, and then you really put some force on it and you continue going. And that's what Curiosity's arm is going to be doing with this new technique.
So is that because the rock is really hard and the Curiosity's too light?
The problem seems to be with the motors that are driving the bit itself.
Okay.
So it seems like they're not sort of rotating at the rate that they should be.
Okay.
So they check to see if adding more force to it would actually allow it to rotate.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of grab the Martian rocks a bit better, and it did.
Right.
So that's why they went ahead and tried this out.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
actually, just so happens, just a couple days ago, they drilled a 5-centimeter hole using this new technique into a rock called Duluth. And of course, now that they've changed the way the drill works, they also have to change the way that they grab the fragments of the rock from what's being drilled in order to be fed into Curiosity's onboard instruments for chemical analyses. So that's what they're going to be working on next, is to get all of that stuff you see around the hole there, to actually scoop that up and get it inside of the chemical laboratory inside of Curiosity. And of course, Curiosity, it's driving up Mount Sharp and Gale Crater. It's sampling rocks as it climbs, finally again. And it's primarily doing this to get a record of how Mars' climate changed from a warm, wet world to the current cold, dry, barren, and seemingly dead desert that it is today.
Interesting.
So very, very good work to all the engineers at JPL. That's basically what they seem to do all the time, is make the impossible possible. So
Quite.
super cool.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Duluth. So Duluth speaks to my heart, as there is a Duluth, Minnesota. It's spelled exactly the same, so I don't know if maybe that was a why that was named that at all. But
Maybe.
I was like, did you just say Duluth? Oh my gosh, that's hilarious to me. Awesome.
Yeah.
Duluth also relatively barren, although not a desert, but usually just covered in ice and snow.
Well, if it gets down to minus 80 Fahrenheit, then it's got the sort of same temperature average as Mars.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, legitimately, it can in fact do that.
Okay. What do you know? So
All right.
maybe we should just take I know what we'll do. We'll grab the engineering model that they were using at JPL. We'll take it to Duluth,
Minnesota,
and we'll test it there.
Yeah.
So
I like this idea.
this is why we're here. So.
Although one question I have is, has NASA not quite figured out are they going to have to come up with a new scooping method? Is the previous method no longer going to work with being able to sample?
Yeah, so what they're trying to do, because of the way that this drills, it no longer makes a fine powder. It makes a fine powder with occasional large chunks of rock. Large meaning a couple millimeters in size, which is not something that the instruments on board of Curiosity or the systems to get it into the instruments on Curiosity were designed to handle. So they're working on that right now to figure out how to get this new amalgamation that they pull out of the borehole to get into the rover itself. But there are some instruments on the end of the robotic arm that they can put up to what's come out of the borehole and still analyze it that way. Just not in as much detail as the instruments on board of inside of the rover itself. So, yeah.
Well, maybe we should go to Duluth, Minnesota to see if we can't help figure out a method to sample better with the equipment that they have.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good way to do it.
Exactly. Of course, you guys are saying that, and Jared said negative 80 Fahrenheit. That's cold.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that's so be careful what
Anything
you're
below
volunteering
60
for.
Fahrenheit, and I'm dying. I need a parka.
Minus 62 Celsius, by the way.
Thank you.
So,
minus 62 Celsius. Yeah,
so
that's
since I broke our rule here,
quite
so
cold. That's
yes.
cold for sure. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. So, Mr. Mike, sadly, we have some sad news in the last week. Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, this is very sobering and humbling news. We lost 2 astronauts this over this past week. One Apollo astronaut and one shuttle astronaut. So, just wanted to go through and pay tribute to both of these men and the service that they provided to NASA. So first, we got to talk about Alan Bean. Alan Bean, who was a Navy test pilot, So he was one of the astronauts who walked on the moon on the second mission, Apollo 12. And he was also aboard America's first space station, Skylab. And after leaving NASA, became a very accomplished artist. And he died last Saturday on May 26th. He was 86 years old. Bean was only one of the 12 men to walk on the moon, and 2 in each of the 6 successful lunar landing missions. He's survived by only 4 of the remaining moonwalkers. Buzz Aldrin, the pilot of Apollo 11, Dave Scott, the commander of Apollo 15, Charlie Duke, the lunar module pilot for Apollo 16, and the geologist and former U.S. Senator Harrison Smith, who was on Apollo 17, the final Apollo mission. Alan Bean was born in Wheeler, Texas on March 15, 1932, and earned a degree in aeronautical engineering before he joined the Navy and eventually won one of the coveted assignments to the Navy Test Pilot School. And in 1963, he was selected in NASA's 3rd group of astronauts, along with Apollo 11 crew members Buzz Aldrin and Mike Collins, as well as Scott and Apollo 17 commander Eugene Cernan. The 12th and last man to walk on the moon. And after serving in the backup roles for Gemini 10 and the Apollo 9 missions, Bean was named the lunar module pilot for Apollo 12. And aboard their Saturn V rocket during their launch, some of you may remember that was the one where they had a lightning strike not long before the launch itself. But Bean and his crewmates, Commander Pete Conrad and Richard Gordon, blasted off on November 14th, 1969. And he would launch later to the Skylab space station in 1973 and logging a then record of 59 days in orbit. It was his final flight assignment at NASA as he was the backup commander for the Apollo-Soyuz test project in 1975. Alan Bean retired that same year from the Navy and from NASA in 1975. And as he continued to serve as the head of the Astronaut Candidate Corps and Training Group at NASA Johnson, before he retired from NASA, in 1981 to pursue his painting career full time, which you can see some of the amazing images that he was able to create with his unique perspective of actually being there. But not to be overlooked, we also need to talk about astronaut Don Peterson, who trained for a classified military space station program before becoming one of the first people to spacewalk from the space shuttle. He died on Sunday, May 27th, at the age of 84. He was born in Winona, Mississippi on October 22nd, 1933, and earned a science degree from West Point and a master's degree in nuclear engineering during his time with the Air Force, as well as graduating the Aerospace Research Pilot School. Peterson transferred to NASA in September of 1969, 2 years after he was chosen by the U.S. Air Force among their 3rd group of candidate pilots to crew the Manned Orbiting Laboratory, the clandestine reconnaissance platform that was canceled. After it was canceled, it led Peterson and several of his other Manned Orbiting Laboratory trainees to join NASA's astronaut corps. And after arriving at the Civilian Space Agency in the midst of the Apollo program, Peterson, in fact, waited 14 years for his opportunity to fly in space, ultimately being named on the maiden flight of the Space Shuttle Challenger. So on April 4th, 1983, Peterson lifted off aboard the winged orbiter Challenger, together with Space Transportation Mission 6 Commander Paul Weitz, pilot Carol Bobko, and fellow mission specialist Story Musgrave. The 5-day flight included deploying the first tracking and data relay satellite, or TDRS-1, to support communications between the space shuttle and Earth orbit and mission control on the ground. And also during that mission, 3 days into the mission, Peterson and Musgrave made history by becoming the first astronauts to wear extravehicular mobility units, as well as exit through the space shuttle and go on the first airlock for an extravehicular activity. STS-6 also marked Peterson's only spaceflight, as I said, but during that time, he logged 5 days and 23 minutes and traveled 2.1 million miles while orbiting around the Earth 81 times. He resigned from NASA in November of 1984, but after departing the agency, continued to work as a consultant and advise crewed aerospace operations, and continued to work full-time through 1993, then part-time, and eventually retiring, aside from the occasional public appearance by the early 2000s. So I just wanted to pay tribute to both of these men, and we're saddened, of course, by their loss, but all the more to remember those that are remaining and the contributions that all of those who have gone before have made to the space program and to humanity's space flight journey in general. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm a little bit older, so those original the EMUs, as you were saying, the little sort of jetpacks, if you will, off of shuttle is something, that's one of those images that just totally sticks in my mind. And when I think about the space program as a whole, but particularly the shuttle era, that's one thing that I just always, like, that's what I think of, if that makes any sense. So that's, yeah, that's very sad, but these men did really, really amazing things. And yeah, that was really cool. We have to switch gears.
Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Just switching just a little bit. And, you know, a good mystery, I feel like, is always a good way to, to change things up.
Yeah.
So now I feel like Rosetta, we've talked so much about Rosetta, but we're still learning things. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is sort of like our space pod a couple of weeks ago talking about looking at the Galileo data from 1997, you know, over 2 decades later, re-looking at it and going, yeah, that anomaly? Oh, it turns out it was, you know, water coming from Europa. So
interesting.
Yeah,
right.
so, you know, when missions do their work, even when the mission is wrapped up, there's still, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 years of analysis of the data still happening after that. And the European Space Agency's Rosetta spacecraft had a bit of a mystery regarding the jets that would come off of the comet that it was looking at, which is called Churyumov-Gerasimenko. And it took over 70,000 images of this comet by using the OSIRIS camera on board during the 2 years that it orbited the comet. And there were these outbursts of gas and dust that would occur frequently, but these outbursts were also seen to occur at regular intervals, which is something that we weren't expecting with that there. Now, viewing these images, the scientists from the Max Planck Institute of Solar System Research found that these outbursts occurred not just with regularity, but their locations were also regular as well, specifically in areas experiencing sunrise. Now, this early morning activity is due to frost, which would form on the night side of the comet, and then it would sublime rapidly when exposed to sunlight. There were also several areas that corresponded with where potential landslides had been observed on the comet's surface, likely causing frozen water below to be directly exposed to sunlight. But why do these outbursts form in very directional jets like this image you see right here?
Yeah.
They're like, that's immensely directional. That is like specifically pointed in a certain direction. It was expected that these jets would form a homogeneous cloud. You know, in a vacuum, they should expand outward evenly in every direction. Well, they continued to do analysis of the photos taken from different angles of a region on Churyuri called Happy, which lay in the neck between the two lobes. And this allowed us to see that these areas were very strongly illuminated by sunlight, but also these areas contained pits and depressions in a concave shape. So these pits and these concave depressions, they ended up concentrating the shape of the gas and the dust coming out of it. So that's why they were directional, because the shape of the area where those jets were coming out of actually pushed them into directional jets.
So more like an engine bell, or no? Am I
yeah,
thinking...
kind of like that. Sort of like a natural engine bell, if you think about it.
Okay.
You know, it would kind of push them together, and then the particles would all stay together in that area, and then be ejected as more and more particles came out. So,
interesting.
Yeah. So this was a really cool result. They ended up modeling it as well, and they found out that the models they developed based on the surface of Rosetta lined up exactly with what they were seeing from the images from the OSIRIS camera. So. Just another amazing result continuing from this mission, and a really great result too.
Yeah.
Answering something that we had no idea how to explain.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. That's
Are we sure this isn't some sort of spaceship posing as an asteroid?
I mean, if you take a look at it, it really does look like a rubber ducky. So, I mean, so somebody could have lost their rubber ducky while they were taking a bath coming through the solar system, for all I know.
Gargantuan. Must be from a gas giant for sure.
Yes, I think so. 'Cause this is a multi-kilometer sized rubber ducky.
I'm sorry.
So,
Wow.
yeah. But yeah, really
I'm
cool
sorry.
stuff.
It is really fascinating, though, that it resembles rocket bombs like that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. I mean, that's we're staying true to ourselves, to be honest. So
Yeah, I mean, what
that's,
else? Yeah.
oh, that's
It's just nothing
funny.
but a bunch of gas on this show.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That sounds about right. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little bit of a calendar break. And when we come back, Ben will be interviewing Mr. Frank Bunger, who's the CEO of Orion Span. Stay with us. There's more tomorrow coming right up.
Look into her face, determination in her eyes. She won't give up or quit or fall for little fashion lies. Filled with awesome expectation, this girl's a fascination. And nothing in her way will keep her from her destination. 'Cause she's fire walking, she's fire walking. When it's hot, she keeps on moving. Through the heat, keeps on improving. Yeah, she's fire walking, she's fire walking to be free.
Hey guys, so what we're going to do is we have Frank on the line for those of you who are watching live, of course, because this is going to be edited out. So I guess, of course, it's for the people watching live. We want to just make sure we do a little bit of a tech check, make sure that we can hear Frank can hear us, all that other fun stuff. And then we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming, as it were.
So hey Frank, if you could really quickly, we want to check your audio. If you could just tell me what you had for breakfast, that would be awesome.
Sure. I had mostly for breakfast. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. We'll have you keep talking. So tell me a little bit about your favorite story.
My favorite story? Well, at the moment I'm engrossed in kids' stories because of my young son. So
okay, thanks.
Been doing a lot of that kind of stuff.
just like I'm done with that now.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Duddy, you're
Once
happy.
you repeat it 50 times, it starts to get old, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure. Actually,
Framing.
are you able to tilt your camera down at all, or is it kind of attached to your laptop?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right about
Is that better?
a little bit more.
Is that better?
Yeah, right about there. That actually looks really good. All right,
Okay.
cool. So, any other requests, Duddy, or are we good to go?
No, I'm good.
All right, great. So we'll have, we're going to do a carry-in toss. Great. Cool. All right. So Frank, we'll get right into it. And here we go.
All right, you guys are ready? Mm-hmm. Perfect, because you're
Yep.
still on screen.
Yes, we are. For now.
Just so you know.
Duddy, can you take it from black for me?
Now, before we get into our main topic, actually, what we want to shoot. I can't talk. Sorry. Yep.
Ready?
Yep. Before we get into our interview, I want to make sure I still give a huge thank you to our Escape Velocity citizens. They get their name in the show in this segment, of course, and also want to acknowledge our Orbital citizens. These citizens contribute $5 per episode. And if you are interested in becoming a citizen of tomorrow, please feel free, head on over to patreon.com/TMRO. Now we head over to the observation deck where Ben will be interviewing the CEO of Orbital Span.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Orion Span. I'm so sorry.
Orion Span. Actually, that's a really good point. So I've got Frank Bunger on the line, the CEO of Orion Span, and I think I'd actually like to start off by asking, is there a meaning behind the name Orion Span? That's kind of an interesting name.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, there sure is. So the name derives from the concept of the overall mission of Orion Span. The mission here is to take the first serious steps towards colonization of space. We're building a space hotel, but the real mission is to make visiting space routine and comfortable. And as we see prices start to come down, more accessible to everyone. So my view when I named the company was, I want this to be the first step towards us thinking about colonizing space and potentially colonizing, more broadly speaking, the Orion, just as a very broad sense.
So let's start kind of in a very high-level overview of why is colonizing space important?
Well, for me personally, and I'm sure your viewers probably feel the same way, there's no higher calling to me than taking those steps forward. And I feel that since the wind out of our sails kind of faded in the 70s after the Apollo program, there was this stretch of time where a lot of progress was made in understanding how human beings can live in microgravity thanks to the ISS. But if you ask somebody in the 70s what would be happening in 2018, they'd say, "Oh, we'd probably be living in the moon or living in Mars." And these things didn't happen because of political reasons and budgetary reasons. But what's exciting now is in the last 5 to 10 years, and I think we largely have to credit SpaceX for this, for showing that there's a way for a commercial entity to create a business in something that's expensive and hard, and actually make it profitable and highly successful. So sorry, to come back to your question more roundabout. So I think, the same as your viewers, that we all believe that human civilization's destiny is in the stars. Sooner or later, the Earth is going to give out, or maybe there will be a horrible war with far more horrible weapons than we have today. It's hard to predict the future. In any case, we want to be a multi-planetary civilization. And I think when you look at the history of how humanity has evolved and become the species that we are and achieved what we have, I think we have a natural curiosity that, even if you set aside bad outcomes like horrible wars, regardless, even if it's a panacea and life is perfect, we want to know what's out there. We want to understand the universe. We want to understand dark energy, dark matter. Why are those stars and spiral arms not spinning away? Is there a way to travel faster through some other means and visit other star systems? So, it's all, obviously we're in the early phases of that. It's 2018, but I hope to see that by the end of my lifetime that we're seeing people routinely living and working in space, in orbit, and the moon, on Mars. And I hope that I can personally die in space as well.
So what is OrionSpan doing to help start that humans living and working in space? What is that first step that you guys will be taking? Sure thing.
Yeah, so the product that we announced and for which we got a lot of attention is our Aurora space station. And as you probably heard, it's the world's first luxury space hotel. But more broadly speaking than that, it's obviously catered to tourists. But more broadly speaking, it is a human spaceflight platform. So we want to service space agencies, whether it's future ISS partners when the ISS retires, or other space agencies around the world. We want to host their astronauts. We want to host microgravity research. We want to help push the frontiers of those use cases. I personally believe that there are breakthroughs in microgravity research upon which we are just on the cusp. So when that happens, and when we find that, the killer app, as they say, for space, whether it's manufacturing or some other breakthrough, we're going to see a tremendous flood of activity. And if you hear the Bank of America estimates by 2040, there'll be 3 trillion economic activity in orbit. And today that's far, far, far less. So the goal here with the Space Hotel and having this platform is, let's put a piece of infrastructure up there and think of it as a piece of real estate, essentially. Just like a house or a building in a city, Aurora Station is a piece of orbital real estate. So we want to lease capacity on it to people that are interested, whether it's tourists or astronauts or research. And we also want to think ahead to one day that maybe people want to own parts of Aurora Station.
And so what are the plans to execute on this? Like how, saying, hey, here's what we want to do. We want to build a space station. We want to make it so that we can do some research on it and make it as an orbital hotel. But that's neat. But it takes a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of resources to make that happen. So how are you going to get from where you are today to actual operating space hotel?
Yeah, good question. So today we are concept complete and have a bunch of IP. And what we're doing now is we're going to be opening a larger fundraising round in the next few months here. But I'm actually pleased to report that there is a lot of interest in it because I think what we're seeing out there is that nobody has yet figured out how to do this more cheaply. This is, typically when you look at this is something that's going to cost government billions and tens of billions and even hundreds of billions of dollars. So obviously government had different challenges, and there were all these international partners. So it was a much bigger, more challenging project. But even when you look at some of our competitors, their cost forecasts are pretty darn steep. So our goal when we started the company was, could we drive this down below 100 million? Because if you drive, we reckon that below that mark, then we start to make this a venture fundable business. And that's exactly what we've done with some of the innovation, is we found ways to make this far more cheaply than anyone has done before. And you also see that part of it is the actual deployment of Aurora Station. The first deployment will be a single module space station. So that means it launches, it's in service right away. It's not, it doesn't require inflation, doesn't require assembly or multiple launches. The model I was thinking of when I started the company was, could we do something like a Skylab or a Mir in a modern version and make it a hell of a lot cheaper?
So to that, you mentioned a $100 million target, which is radically less than what anyone else is doing. Does that include the launch cost itself, or is that just for the station?
That does not include launch. So our goal with launch is to either barter our way to a reduced price launch, or to partner our way to a reduced price launch. So either with commercial entities and or government.
All right, so got a couple questions from the chat room. So let's say we've got Aurora Station up, it's operational. Lure, from the chat room is asking, what kind of activities are you planning for your guests on the station as a vacation experience?
Yeah, good question. So it's actually, so I think one of the reasons that we struck such a chord out there and got so much attention is that what we're actually propositioning here for the tourists is an experience rather than a room in a hotel. When you look at some of the great work that Bigelow has done around the inflatable habitats, what they have not yet done is figured out how to market and sell what's actually going to be happening. Whereas we kind of did the reverse, where we started to market and sell this in advance, take bookings, and to make sure that the market interest was there as we expected. So to describe the experience, the goal is to have an authentic astronaut experience. So for very wealthy individuals, trip starts at $9.5 million. So it's expensive, but far less expensive than the 20 to 50 million other guests paid to go to the ISS. And so a big component is going to be training for starters before they even leave for Aurora. Once they get there, there'll be a completion of the training as well. There'll also be participating in research. So our goal is to, like the ISS astronauts, as you guys probably know, spend the vast majority of their time running research experiments. And so we want to have our guests have a taste of that as well, without it becoming their entire lives, because this is obviously supposed to be fun too. So we're going to have them do experiments between 3 to 6 hours a day. And our goal is to make those experiments something that is easy enough to use, that it doesn't require a PhD in that particular field. Right? So it's more about the execution of the experiment rather than the deep knowledge of how it operates. And we also are going to have a VR experience, virtual reality experience. We're calling it the holodeck for now, as a nice Star Trek reference for everyone. But the goal there is that if, let's say, people want some downtime, or they just want to try something interesting, in VR, anyone who's played with VR knows that anything is possible. You can play golf back home, or you can walk on the surface of Pluto. So there's that's a kind of an extra distraction. And lastly, we do expect that people will be looking out the windows an awful lot. There are portals all along the side of Aurora Station, as well as some larger windows in the center. So everywhere you look, you will always have a view of the Earth moving underneath you, thunderstorms, all that excitement. So we also expect that guests will spend a lot of time on social media and contacting probably everyone they know to say, like, hey, check this out. This is amazing. So that's kind of how we expect the days to round out. And we picked 12 days because I talked to some former tourists like Richard Garriott and Anusha Ansari, and they were telling me that the 10 days they spent was just not enough. So we're trying to balance what's the right number to have people up there without being too long up there either, that they can get home and get back to their lives.
You know, I think citizen astronauts like Richard Garriott had helped pay for his trip because he went up on Space Adventures, I believe it was, on a Soyuz, and he went to Space Station, International Space Station. But I believe he helped pay for some of that by doing experiments on Space Station and actually having those people help fund him going to Space Station. And you mentioned doing experiments on Aurora Station. Is that something that will help the astronauts pay their way, or is that just something that's helping to bring the cost down to where it's at right now?
Yeah, great question. So that's a little bit of both, actually. So we expect that it'll help essentially subsidize the cost to some degree. But to your point, this isn't something I usually talk about too much because it can be a complicated topic. But you're spot on. The model that Richard used when he went to the ISS. He ended up nearly breaking even, is what he told me. So pretty darned entrepreneurial guy. So I reckon that there will be people like him that want to use this as a platform to achieve something. Maybe it's calling attention. Like, let's say it's a Hollywood celebrity that has a pet cause, or let's say it's someone like Richard that wants to do science, or somebody that wants to test some in-space manufacturing. So I do expect there will be people like that who almost operate as an agent for other companies and doing something that they want to try in microgravity or just want to call a lot of attention to, because obviously especially the first few groups that are going to go up there are going to get a lot of media attention. So they have a really unique platform to do something with that, and it's very open-ended ultimately.
You've mentioned microgravity a couple of times, and in the chat room, Ciderite asks, do you have any plans for rotational microgravity modules? In other words, trying to create, I don't want to call it artificial gravity, but something along those lines.
Yeah, we certainly have talked about it. It's as I'm sure all you guys know, it's hard to do that well, and it is expensive to do that. So it's certainly something we want to do in the future, but for us, it's probably 5 to 10 years out, or maybe even a little farther. But that is certainly the ultimate goal, because I think, as everybody here knows, the ideal state would be to have some degree of essentially gravity through rotation, 0.6 to 0.8 g, somewhere there at least, so that it's more comfortable for everyone, and some of the effects of being in space long term don't start to hit you.
Kay McCoy in the chat room asks, are there other adventure hotels that you look at for inspiration for guest experience? Underwater hotels, treehouse hotels, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we certainly have looked at those, because exactly the same kind of thinking is that those are unique experiences. I think the underwater hotel, as I recall, didn't pan out, but there are those kinds of experiences are exactly the same kind of idea. We reckon that our customer is similar to that. They want to try something unique like that. And this is the personality type that wants to climb Mount Everest and do something special.
Kind of changing a little bit and going towards the technical side, Tawicked in the chat room asks, what kind of docking ports will the station have? Is it going to be a single type or multiple to accommodate various different types of launchers and capsule combinations?
Yeah, we're planning on, so the Aurora Station, if you've seen the images, it's 2 cylindrical pieces with a central piece that's we're calling a radial hub. And that radial hub has 4 ports. So out of those 4 ports, this is still in planning phases. So most likely we'll allocate 2 to large windows and 2 to IDA, so International Docking Adapter. So we want to be thinking ahead to that is the standard to which people are going. And yeah, thanks for bringing up those images. And so as part of those adapters, we can also launch additional stations and spacecraft. So as we go from single module, like pictured here, to multiple, then we simply launch another of the same spacecraft and attach it. It's attached perpendicularly for balance and weighting. And that's the whole concept here, is that we want to start simple and grow with demand, rather than let's build some extravagant engineering operation and pray to God that there is market demand for it.
So along those same lines, in the chat room, kind of talking about timelines a little bit, Sol asks, do you have a roadmap or goalpost luxury hotel phase, such as a plan for a larger, more city-like station, or more of us common folk may live and work? But kind of taking that back, do you have a longer-term roadmap? Right? In the beginning, when we asked why, you had a very incredible and grand vision, but you have to start somewhere. So do you have like markers along the way that says, okay, well, we start with Aurora Station, and then where do you go from there?
Absolutely, yeah, and we certainly do. So what we're seeing is, as I'm sure many of you see as well, is that launch costs are starting to come down. They are not coming down fast enough for anyone's tastes, but our forecast is that they will be down to the low to mid millions to launch a human to space by the mid 2020s. So if we see that continue to drop into the late 2020s and 2030, and how exactly that will happen today is a little fuzzy, as I'm sure all of you guys know, because there are a lot of new players coming online all the time with cheaper, better, faster ways to orbit, and whether or not any of those will work out or how they will come in pricing is a little hard to predict. But when you think of this like any new technology, it starts out as being extremely exclusive. Even the first VCR was darned expensive. The first commercial flights were darn expensive. Over time, and in the early days, it's hard to foresee how that path unfolds, but it is inevitable. It is only a question of when. It is not a question of if. So what we're hoping to see here is by the late 2020s and early 2030s that price has come down to the hundreds of thousands for a launch to orbit. So now it's still a lot of money, but it's starting to be at a point where people could foreseeably go up there and stay for a good portion, maybe a couple of years and return, or stay up there even forever. And by that point, our goal is to have enough of a station built up, so like Aurora Station. We may end up having multiples. We'll have to see how the market responds and where demand goes in the next 5 to 10 years. But to have enough capacity on board and enough ability that people can take care of themselves and not get in trouble from being in zero gravity for too long. Or for that matter, maybe we can even have a gently rotating station by that point that people can be up there a sustained amount of time. So that's kind of the intermediate goalpost here. I think it's hard to predict how that will all unfold. So we have to see a little bit how things pan out over the next 5 to 10 years.
So I have another question from the chat room. I'm going to soften it up a bit because I think they asked it a bit aggressively. But do you have a rough timeline? This is from Vogon. He asks, basically, when do you expect you'll be able to launch? And then adding on to that a little bit, like what kind of launcher do you need? Because just saying, oh, hey, I need a low-cost launcher, you've got everything from the Electron rocket, which is designed for like CubeSats, and I assume that's not viable, all the way up to upcoming rockets like BFR, New Armstrong, SLS. What classification of rocket do you need? And then do you have a rough idea? I realize it's early, but rough idea as to when you think you might be able to launch.
Yeah, sure. So the class of vehicle is something like a Falcon Heavy or the new heavy lift vehicle from JAXA. SLS should be able to do it. So there's a lot of potential partners there that we'll be using for launch. And what we're looking for to determine who that will be is ultimately we'd like to have a more broad partnership agreement with whoever that will be, that they bring up not just Aurora Station, but also our guests ultimately, so that we can have a kind of a holistic agreement in place that covers all those pieces end to end, and therefore also negotiate a better price point for all of them individually. So that's the class of vehicle. In terms of timeline, we're aiming for 2021, late 2021, and it is an aggressive timeline. I know everyone thinks that. It certainly is. We think we can make it, but it's certainly a possibility it'll slip into 2022.
And also from the chat room, Loopy Dragon asks off of Twitch, how will you work with existing commercial partners? Will the station have room for expansion? For example, would you add something like a Bigelow BA330 to the system?
Yeah, absolutely. We would. So our goal here is to be one of the first players to introduce the concept of an ecosystem in LEO, because we know if you think back to the early days of the ISS in the late 70s and early 80s, it was designed with at least 8 purposes in mind, including manufacturing, research, fuel depot, a manufacturing depot, et cetera, and kind of got whittled down to a space laboratory through just time, budgetary changes, and political changes. But now that we're in a world where there is a viable market starting to emerge in LEO, it's the reverse, right? Because we want to be able to host all these different areas in some capacity, and so we've been very kind of broad in terms of who we talk to and potentially partner with, because precisely that it is a piece, it's a building, right? So what happens inside of that building? There's a lot of things that can happen inside that building. And that's one of the things we're excited to see, because there are a million exciting different things for which people reached out to us. that they would like to try in Leo. And it's very creative stuff. And there's even people thinking way down the road to like an Uber of space. It's like, that sounds great, but I think that's a little ways out. You think we are really on that edge. And I come from the technology business. I wrote a blog about this. And the tech business, this kind of bloom of activity started to happen about 10 years ago. And what I see in the space business is that we are just on the edge of a similar bloom. Cambrian explosion. I took that from an Economist article called The Cambrian Moment. And we are really on that edge in the space business. It's going to be the same thing in five or so years when we are up there and probably other players are up there competing for people's business. And there's all these opportunities. There's resource capture companies. There's going to be more in space manufacturing. What we're going to see is just a tremendous flowering of possibilities, and what all those are is hard to predict. And we're certainly excited to see it, and we're open-minded to having a BA 330 or other of the Bigelow modules, because they serve a purpose. They are big and they're valuable in their own way.
A lot of people who watch the show are in aerospace, and a lot of aerospace is used to the dreaded terms ITAR and EAR, and there's just a ton of red tape. So this question from the chat room from Space Geek asks, are you bound by red tape and regulations, or is your biggest difficulty just the technology?
Well, there certainly is red tape, as I'm sure you guys know. The ITAR is a big one. There are other ones from the FCC and the FAA. And it's also a little bit unclear now with the Space Council transitioning some of those responsibilities towards commerce. So it's all a little bit murky, and there's also a lot of gray area where items like somebody who gets launched to orbit has to be certified, but once they're in orbit, do they have to be certified? It's unclear. It seems the answer is no. So, this is a case where the pace of the market is exceeding the pace of government. Not surprisingly, it always takes a little while. It's normal. It happens in every business. So our hope is to be there early enough to help define those regulations and partner with government agencies and make sure that they make sense. Right? Well, what we're aiming for here is a symbiotic partnership like the FAA and the commercial airline industry, where they have found the right balance of regulations for safety's sake and keeping everyone happy, plus making it commercially viable and profitable.
How did you get into this? How did you decide, I want to build a space station? I mean, that's a big undertaking. What inspired you to do this?
Yeah, well, I come from the technology business, and my background, I've been in a variety of startups, software, hardware, manufacturing, and so I have kind of a broad base of experience, but I've done a lot of startups. So my expertise is in running lean, fast, and mean, and I think we've done a good job of that with our launch of product launch of Aurora Station, because we're in a concept stage and we've achieved a lot of attention and bookings out of it. So the reason I came to circle back to your question, the reason I came to it is because I reached a point in my life where I realized there are fewer good days ahead than behind, and I wanted to go back to doing something meaningful and chasing my passion. And space has always been my lifetime passion. I wanted to be a kid, and when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. But I was also one of those kids that got motion sick driving to the supermarket. So, I kind of realized early on that becoming an Air Force pilot and becoming a test pilot and becoming an astronaut probably wasn't going to work out for me. So I shelved those dreams for a long time and just returned to them later when I had a lot of work experience to which I could bring the entrepreneurial skills and all the various other skills I've learned as an executive manager to actually make this possible.
I also noticed on the website that one of the things you'll be deploying, or at least planning to deploy on Aurora Station, are space condominiums. Plans to move into one of your own space condos when those are built and ready to go?
Absolutely. Although, I'll be selling them first because we need the revenue. But yeah, definitely. The goal there is that, like I mentioned earlier, we really want to make this so that, let me frame it a little more broadly. Think of the gold rush and the drive westward in the 1800s in the United States. That was driven by a profit motive. Right? People were going out west because they thought they were going to strike it rich. So we want to similarly have a incentive and a motive for people to be part of Aurora Station. So if they say if they own part of the station, that's the space condo concept. More broadly speaking, just think of it as ownership. If they own part of the station, they now have an incentive to capitalize on that in some form, whether that means lease capacity or sit on it till the value goes up and sell it. A lot of possibilities there, and we want to be able to provide that type of experience, because the challenge here is that unlike the drive westward, is there was land that you could just go and occupy legally, whereas in space there has to be a medium for us. Obviously, we can't just go up there and it's not going to work. So that's the goal here, is to be able to create that kind of shell or framework that people might be able to make a tremendous amount of money.
What is the number one thing that's acting as a challenge to actually being able to see this vision through at this point?
I'd say more than anything is the timeline, because it is an aggressive timeline, and we really want to get there as quickly as possible and be first. And what I've seen is that since we made our announcement and got a lot of attention for it, is that the other tourism players have started to pick up steam too. So, as a whole, that's great for the industry, and it's really gratifying to see that we kicked some of the bigger players, more well-funded players, in the butt, and basically got them to start moving faster. So I think on the whole, that's a terrific thing for the space industry and for really human civilization more broadly, trying to get to space and expand into space. But for us as a company, it's certainly challenging, because it now means that we have, we're still the black sheep in this race, and we have to fight harder and be faster and cheaper than all of them.
So before I get into our standard questions, I believe you announced the station, and then didn't you almost immediately sell out of trips right away or something along those lines? So,
yeah, we sure did. Yeah, the response was tremendous. So in the first 3 days, we already sold out 4 months of reservations, and 4 months is equal to 4 times 4. So we're talking 16 reservations. So the response was really rapid, and I'm really excited to see that.
But if someone wants to book a trip, they're still able to do that at this point? It just has to be a little further out?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so it's a wait list, and it's the money's in escrow too. Just to be clear, because we're not the kind of organization that's going to take people's money and run. It's in escrow. We can't touch it until it's close to launch time, and it's also fully refundable at any time. So we want people to feel safe and risk free that their deposit is secure. Sorry, going back to your question, what was it?
Oh, well, I was gonna continue the question, which is, let's say we've got a viewer who wants to book a trip on Aurora Station. How do they do that?
Yeah, they certainly still can. So we're the last public figure I released was we're up to 22 bookings, and that was a few weeks ago, and I'll be releasing more information there. But so as we go through, there's more and more on the wait list. We naturally expect that some will eventually get a refund and not go. I would say if there are people interested, don't wait too long, because that wait list is getting longer, and I think the first probably 6 to 9 months are going to be the most exciting time, because anybody going will be getting a tremendous amount of media attention.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And let's just say they're on station. Is there internet access on the station so they can take the world's most amazing selfie?
Yeah, there sure is. Yeah, and that's one of the points we advertise, is we intend to have best-in-class internet service up there. And I had some critics tell me, that sounds stupid for what you're selling, but I think they don't understand that internet service in orbit is not cheap, so and not easy to have a lot of bandwidth. But we tend to have really high bandwidth service available, so people can live stream, video chat, really enable people to connect with their social media contacts, whether it's family, friends, or some other organization or motive there, that they can connect with those people easily and all the time.
Actually, and I know I'm supposed to be going to the standard questions, but let's touch on that just for a moment. You mentioned live streaming from orbit. That you are very correct. That is very expensive and hard to do. Do you have your own ground stations for that, or are you partnering with someone else for those ground stations?
Yeah, we'll be building our own ground station. Is the plan right now.
Mostly worldwide coverage, or I assume you'll have gaps over oceans?
Gaps over oceans, most likely, yep.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome. So before we let you go, we do have some standard questions that we ask all of our guests. No right or wrong answers, and just, first thing that pops into your head. You've kind of already answered one of them, but I'll try to get your answer out of it again. The first one is, what is your favorite space mission, past, present, or future?
My favorite space mission, as in... Sorry, give me a little more context.
Just any mission to space that has happened before, is happening right now, or is slated to happen in the future.
I think for me personally, the most exciting thing to see would be seeing the BFR go to Mars, and I'm sure everyone's excited to see that. Let's hope it happens in the next 10 years.
Do you prefer human or robot exploration of the cosmos?
A mixture, really. I think robots need to be the vanguard to probe things and check safety and evaluate. But ultimately, it's not inspiring to have a robot go land somewhere, right? It's been done now often enough that it's actually kind of routine, which is a great thing. But what is inspiring is when people set foot on a new planet or set up a base on a new planet. That is inspiring, and it's something that lasts for all of human history.
And the last question is, why space?
Why space? Also, a little more context on this one.
Just in general, why do you think space is important? Again, we kind of opened up with this, so you gave a really good answer up front, but like a one-sentence variation of why you think we should explore the cosmos.
Well, the future of human civilization is in space. It is inevitable. It is solely a question of when and not if. 100 years from now, we will almost certainly be living and working in space. So let's make it happen. It's the opportunity is there. The conditions have aligned correctly to make it possible. So let's do it.
Oh, I love that answer. Let's make it happen. That's the tagline for this show. Frank, thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday. We really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be on the program, and good luck to you guys.
Great, thank you so much. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, comments from last week's show. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This girl's a fascination, and nothing in her way will keep her from her destination. 'Cause she's fire walking, she's fire walking. When it's hot, she keeps on moving, through the heat keeps on improving. Yeah, she's fire walking, she's fire walking to be free.
All right, sorry, I missed. I didn't quite make it. I rolled Mike out instead of leaving him on, so.
You're good. It's fine.
I was just like, they're all like, no Mike? I'm like, no Mike.
Mike is right out.
All right. Oh. How are we doing on
I have no idea.
here? We go here.
It's like that today.
Hope everyone liked that. Frank was a great interview.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really cool. I'm excited for that. Well, tomorrow wants to do a live broadcast from the moon, so maybe...
I've never heard that about tomorrow.
Maybe his next generation station that's on.
You know what I have heard of that about? Space Vidcast.
That might be true. I don't know that I've ever actually said that.
Oh, yeah, Space Vidcast. I forgot about those guys. I wonder what they're up to nowadays.
I wonder what they're doing.
Wonder what they're doing.
With a name like Space Vidcast, them broadcasting from space would make sense. Not saying.
You mean you want them to do a video
cast from
space?
Space?
Yeah, from space.
A space video cast.
Space.
Huh. Space.
Jared, did you notice that I linked to the exact correct moment in time in that video in Discord?
No, I didn't notice that.
Oh yeah,
I didn't click on it. I just did.
Yeah. If you play it, it goes if you want. That's where it actually starts.
Nice.
And that, I thought so too. All right.
Nice. I'm for it.
Might need to come this way. Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
It's all Ben's fault.
We need to be better at these transitions.
Well, if you didn't wheel Mike out.
I know. I did. I was the one who screwed that up, so there is that.
My favorite part is you're wheeling Mike out and you're like, we're not going to make this. Like, well, not without Mike, we're not.
See, I would back you up, man, except that Dada will come and take me.
Oh, yeah.
You have a head cold?
I can't support you. Yes.
Ugh.
I know, everybody's sick.
Jeez, I'm not. All right.
You're just sick in the head.
The thing is, I'm not contagious.
And this the sickness.
I learned, at least I learned, and this may be fake news, but it sounds like if you're showing symptoms, you're no longer contagious. Generally speaking.
That'd be super awesome if that's true.
All right, let's do this thing.
before diving directly into comments, I want to make sure that we give a huge thank you and acknowledgement again to our escape velocity citizens, and then our orbital citizens, and then, of course, our suborbital citizens. These are the people who contribute $2.50 per episode. Every little bit helps, and we wouldn't be able to continue making these awesome shows if it weren't for you. Now, if you would like to become a citizen of tomorrow, head on over to patreon.com/TMRO.
I missed this question in the chat room with Frank, and I wish I hadn't. It's
Yes.
from Smokey Durg. He
Yes.
says, would you be open to the idea of including the station on Airbnb?
That's true.
That would be
Let's
great.
remember that.
Wouldn't that
Yeah.
be great?
Don't
That
be
would be-
loud though, or your neighbors are going to get
Yeah,
loud,
yeah,
too.
yeah. Your space station neighbors. I'm sorry.
Wow. You're not sorry.
Only if they're in the module next door.
Just because your pack says commander does not mean
My
that I
pack
don't
does-
have
it
command
does-
of this show.
It does actually say.
What am I
you will
today?
see- I think you're
You're
MS1
MS2.
or
Yeah, I'm
CSSC
mission
and
specialist too.
Commander.
Who's MS1?
Mike.
Mike is MS1.
Okay, so I have to listen to Mike today.
Yep.
And then, but overall, we have to listen to you.
Well,
No,
but
we don't, because
MS1.
I am Capcom.
No, but okay, we'll get into that. We'll get into that after.
Is MS1 in charge of red team and MS2's in charge of blue team?
No, you're just a specialist, so you're
Oh,
you're in
okay.
charge of your special area. He's in
Okay.
charge. We'll get into that after.
Cool.
Continue.
Thanks. I'm allowed to speak. That's fantastic.
Says the commander.
Capcom. I'm Capcom. I tell you what to do on station. You understand that.
But ultimately,
that's actually the way
we'll
that
get
this
into
works.
this in After Dark.
Actually,
you're gonna want to watch After Dark. This is gonna be fun.
If we want to be like officially official, the flight.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay.
Official-
Yeah.
official
Let's.
flight? Okay.
I think Doug is showing us who has the real power.
Apparently the ocean, so that's great. So last week on Orbit 11.21, Mr. Jared here had a fantastic interview from the Riverside Telescope Makers Conference.
Woohoo! That was so much fun.
Yeah.
Live in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Truly.
And you still had bandwidth somehow.
Yes.
Boom.
Well, thank you
done.
to the Riverside Telescope Makers Conference for making that bandwidth happen.
That must have been. It must have been expensive.
I don't know.
They brought in a satellite.
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so all of these comments come off of YouTube, so I'm just not going to say that a million times because it's super annoying. So the first comment comes off of YouTube. Man, there we go.
Right. It's habit. I bet you're going to say it every time.
We're going to try not to.
Ingrained.
I know, right? From Fenton Bevon, says, still no telescope network so we can watch the International Space Station 24/7 from Earth. When will this be a thing? Could get the science classes across the world to live stream it. What do you think?
False. Live
Wow.
view from space in high definition right here. This is actually using the ISS above. You can just a little Raspberry Pi. Jabri Jew, we had Liam Kennedy on talking about ISS above. This is actually just routed right into our video system.
Yep.
But you can grab your own ISS above that actually does have live views of space. It's perfectly designed for schools in that exact application. It will show you not only live views from space, showing like you can see part of the ISS. Is that a Soyuz capsule?
That would be a Soyuz, and
Yeah.
it looks like an orbital
And
ATK
that
Cygnus.
circular solar panel there is from the Cygnus as well.
So there you go, live view from space over the North Pacific Ocean.
North Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, North
Yep.
Pacific. Well, we have VU meters on top of it, so I saw was
just
Earth, Pacific Ocean.
Pacific Ocean.
Right. So how awesome is that? I don't think we need it to be a telescope because we don't want it to be any closer to the Earth. Maybe the world's largest microscope. So reference.
Well, we got lots.
We'll get into that
We got lots.
after that. And it will also show you, like I said, passes the International Space Station, so you know when to go outside, so that you can see it. It's really awesome, and you just plug it into the network, and then plug it into HDTV, and off you go. If you don't want an ISS above, you can just go to the high definition Earth viewing experiment, and they've got a live stream on. Is it UStream? I think is where they put it. Yeah, they got a free You just watch it on UStream in high def. You can just see views of the Earth. Basically 24 hours a day.
So the chat room is blowing up at the moment.
Must be authorized on NOAA.
Old Tartar Sauce says, not what the comment meant, guys. And Destructor1701 was so upset he's misspelling things. Says, this is from Orbit, Ben, not from Teoscopes on Tiggram, which I assume means not on the ground.
All right, that's fair. Okay, that's fair. Watch the ISS from Earth, but I would argue that why?
Have you seen photos that even the best telescopes on the ground have taken of the International Space Station?
They're blurry and crappy.
They're blurry, they're crappy, they don't look good. Tracking it is immensely difficult. Getting all that data together is immensely difficult.
It doesn't make sense to me.
No.
All right.
No.
So okay, yeah.
No.
Chat room does the blah blah blah. But yeah, I don't think that if you want ultimately if what you're trying to go for is the core of I want to be able to see the ISS from Earth, blah 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 blah. This is what you want right here. And I know it's not exactly what they're asking for, but this is what you want.
That's still amazing.
This is
Look at
actually
that.
what you want right here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look at that. That's a football field sized laboratory moving at 8 kilometers per second, and we're getting live video from it. How amazing is that?
Yeah, so Anon says, yes, I've
Holy
seen
smokes.
it through a tracking telescope. It's very cool. Sure, it's not great detail, but that's not the point.
Soul42 says NASA YouTube runs it now. Yeah, from YouTube. Yeah, so you definitely have options there for sure.
They're disagreeing with whatever.
Okay, I'm just going to say everybody's like telling me like, oh yeah, I've seen it through my telescope before. All right, well, let's coordinate telescopes. You coordinate the telescopes on the ground track, and you tell us how easy that's going to be to do that for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So-
Well, you're not going to be ocean.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Speaking of
look.
the ground track, brilliant.
Look.
Thank you, ISS above. That was brilliant timing. Yeah. So giant swaths of water where you're not going to have any sort of internet / coverage until some of those space constellations.
Yeah, no, it ain't happening.
Anyhow,
So-
and I'm not sure that. I'm of the opinion that what you really want is that high definition Earth viewing pass because that actually. All right, let's just move on.
I just want to throw in there that if you are interested in like a telescope network that actually does allow you to watch live streams of it and even go in and potentially you take over the telescopes later on down the line. SLOOH, SLOOH, is a fantastic organization that allows you to do that. And I'm talking like research quality telescopes that you on the internet get to go in and control, and that's pretty amazing.
I think that's far more valuable than telescopes just tracking the ISS from the ground.
Yes.
Because that ultimately that's going to get boring after like 2 minutes,
Yes.
right? Because it's not going to be a great view of the ISS, and there are way better ways to do that. For example, high definition Earth viewing. But what you can do there is you can be like, okay, here's the ISS, right? Follow that for a minute, and then be like, and now here's Saturn. Or whatever happens to be in view of that particular telescope at that moment in time. So you can actually move it around and see things that you're interested in seeing. So I think that's a much better application.
Yeah.
Where can people go for that again?
You can go to slooh.com, which is SLOOH.com.
Cool. There you go. All right. Next up, Capcom.
All right, comes from SP 123 1000 because that's just the way it's going to be. I'm sorry. Says, is there an optimum orbital altitude for LEO or low Earth orbit? I was wondering how far an object could be orbiting from Earth and still be considered to be in low Earth orbit. For example, is there a reason why the International Space Station was not built at a higher orbital altitude as to reduce the need for reboosting every so often? Thanks for another great show, guys.
There are many things that go into the determination of where an object is going to be in space. The International Space Station is an interesting example of lots of compromises.
Yes. I was just about to bring that up. So.
Right, because it had to be in a position where both U.S. and Russia could control it. It had to be close enough where they could get to it easily from a Soyuz and from the space shuttle. So you can't go too far away, otherwise your rockets can't get to it. But the closer you are to Earth, the more atmosphere you're going to be pushing through. Now, right, so 75% of the Earth's atmosphere is within 11 kilometers of Earth, which is about 6.8 miles. However, the exosphere actually extends to over 10,000 kilometers. And that's the topmost layer. And that's what kind of merges into interplanetary space. So 10,000 kilometers out there is pretty far out. Yeah,
yes.
That's not something that I think we're going to want to put humans on, and actually, at least not today. Not using the technology we had when we were building the International Space Station.
Presently, there's no actual reason to put it at that kind of an altitude.
There might be in the future for lunar stations and things like that. But again, it all comes to engineering trades as to what you actually want. This is actually a great graphic. I forgot to give this an identifier, but this actually came off of Wikipedia. So if you search Wikipedia for it's like a low Earth orbit or I think it's Earth atmosphere, you'll actually come up with this graphic, and it's actually pretty neat because it shows you low Earth orbit, which we talk about a lot, right, on the show, because we have a lot of things that are low Earth orbit, polar orbit, still considered considered low Earth orbit. But then it also shows you the large span of medium Earth orbit. That huge green bar kind of in the middle is considered medium Earth orbit. And then that teeny tiny little red area on the right-hand side, that's high Earth orbit. And that's where, generally things going to other areas like the sun or whatnot would generally be dropped off somewhere over there, something like that.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily have to take a very high orbit to actually do what you want to do. Like the European Space Agency's GOES spacecraft was designed to fly through the upper atmosphere with a little ion engine pushing it forward in order to measure the Earth's gravity field in minute detail. So you don't necessarily have to actually go above, that 160 kilometers. You can even dip down into it if your mission really calls for it.
And 160 kilometers, that's kind of the magic number. That's 99 miles, and that's where you will experience very rapid orbital decay or atmospheric drag from the thermosphere. So you want to be above that, generally speaking, and then whatever your spacecraft will allow you to get to. So the higher up you are, the less atmosphere you're going to have, and it's not like it's a gradual decay. I want to say that once you're past that 75%, it's fairly gradual out there, right? So you really have to go pretty far. Go ahead, Mike.
Something else to consider, too, with the orbit that the space station is at, not just the inclination so that we can reach it easily with rockets and at its specific altitude, it's around 500 kilometers up, but somewhere between 700 and 800 kilometers, I'm sure the chat room can correct me on this, is where the Van Allen radiation belts start. So if you're going to have humans on board, you want to make sure that they're below that line where the radiation belts start, and that's kind of the other compromise.
Yeah, ISS is currently generally protected by our magnetosphere for things like that.
And even in low Earth orbit, you still have to deal with the South Atlantic anomaly as well, which is an anomalous area where those belts do really actually dip down to those altitudes that things are at. Like, for instance, I know the Hubble Space Telescope in its orbit, when it flies through the South Atlantic anomaly, they do not do any observations at that point because you're just going to get noise in every instrument. So, yeah.
Is the Hubble Space Telescope also considered being in low Earth orbit?
Yes.
It's,
Okay, cool. it was
Mike
something...
seemed disappointed by that.
Yeah, the Hubble Space Telescope is at 540 kilometers above the surface of the Earth, so it's able to do that.
I forgot, where's JWST being dropped off? It's quite a bit further up.
James Webb Space Telescope?
L2, right?
Yeah, that'll go to L2, which is 1.6 million kilometers.
So a little further?
Or Earth-Sun L2.
Just a wee bit further?
Slightly.
Just a couple steps?
Slightly. Yeah, it's far enough that it has to work.
Which is then considered to be medium Earth orbit, is that correct?
No, that'd be past high Earth orbit.
It's past high Earth orbit.
That's a Lagrange point.
That's solar orbit, basically.
It's 4 times the distance from the Earth to the moon.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. So no pressure.
Yeah.
So
that's why they need to catch these problems on the ground, right?
Well, that's why I'm glad they're catching the problems on the ground.
Right?
So
yeah, exactly. Now's the time, because once it's in space, you don't have another shot. Yeah.
Can't service it either.
There is no Hubble servicing mission on the JD.
Because your servicing mission will actually damage the telescope beyond repair just approaching it. So.
Just approaching it.
Oh yeah, the gas that you would come out of your thrusters, it would depose right onto the mirrors because the mirrors are so cold. So you cannot approach it with any vehicle.
That's
whatsoever.
amazing.
Yeah.
Do they have the ability? Let's just say. Okay, no. Let's just move on.
Okay, let's not think about these nightmares.
Let's pin that. Actually, I want to know if they can fold the mirrors back up. If they figure out how to get its servicing mission there.
No, those are single deploy systems. So yeah, that's why it all has to work.
Good luck, NASA.
It's gonna take a month to get it all.
If anyone can pull this off, it's NASA.
I do believe that.
Absolutely. Yeah. They've shown time and time again that they can the big crazy projects. They're the ones who can pull them off.
Yep.
All right. Cool. Next up.
Next up is an interesting one. This is from Ice 9 Project.
Yep.
Says, this is in a couple parts. Says, Ben, could you be more of a shill, please? I love all the interest being sucked out of the room. You actually responded saying shill for new space companies, because I do indeed love the lot of them.
I do.
I know. And then Ice 9 Project came back with, quote, China/Blue Origin, not sure which one.
Come on, that's funny.
It is a little bit funny. It says, sure, there's this disclosure, but haven't heard the same jabs taken at SpaceX. Honestly, there's no reason to take shots at any of them. They're all taking huge risks and should be equally applauded for doing something our own government has practically left to shrivel on a vine.
Okay, So
That's a loaded one.
There are definitely a couple of things here. Really quickly, I would like to defend Ben a little bit, which I don't do. So,
Rare moment here, guys. Pay attention.
Right, the context of the China Blue Origin, not sure which one, statement itself came out of you were giving an example of where something had happened, but we didn't hear about it until after it had already happened.
Yeah,
and it was like, had been like a couple of weeks prior to that. And typically, generally speaking, the majority of the companies, if you will, that do that have a tendency to either be China, or Blue Origin.
Yeah.
It's a very rare occasion when ULA launches something and then 2 weeks later they go, hey guys, by the way, we did this thing. Everything is anymore typically done live or as close to live as possible, which is where that comment particularly was coming from. So that's where that is. It's not, whatever. But you had a...
Yeah, no, I see two sides to this. So I actually do agree in some regards, and I disagree in other regards. You need to understand, I can't talk to SpaceX. So you don't hear me saying good or bad things about SpaceX. You don't hear me talk about SpaceX at all. You hear other people talk about SpaceX. I can't talk about SpaceX. So I don't. So taking the views of the show and being like, oh, well, Ben said that, I can get where that happened, but it's not me, right? So it's very rare that I can say anything at all about SpaceX. And that is due to what we will call a conflict of interest. So, and that's actually why we brought Mike on the show, right? We want it, SpaceX is doing things in space. We can't just ignore them because I can't talk about them. So we have Mike here who can talk about them and who can say cool things. And so it's his voice that you're hearing with regards to SpaceX. And I don't disagree with what he's saying. Yeah, and actually, Dada brings up a very good point, and I think this is where I'm unfair to Blue Origin, and I will own up to being unfair to Blue Origin, which is, to be fair, lots of Grasshopper development flights were published after the fact. And Blue Origin is not in operational flight status right now, right? They are testing their rocket, and they are showing us their tests. And that actually is very cool and very awesome of them. And we do actually appreciate that quite a bit. It felt like, just emotionally, it felt like Blue Origin kind of didn't tell us anything forever, and then they would do a test, and then after, a couple weeks later, be like, we did a test, here's a video. And we're like, neat. And that's where that jab came from. And you are right. It isn't actually fair to them because they are in development, and I shouldn't put a different standard on them that I do for everyone else. So that is fair. So I will watch for that in the future because it's not fair to Blue Origin, and they are in fact doing amazing and incredible things.
And it also ends up sounding like an inside joke that is something that we want to be inclusive to everybody.
Yeah.
We have often for many years joked that Virgin Galactic is flying in just 6 more months kind of thing. But this is not easy. There's a lot of testing that has to be done. There's a lot of double checking and all of that stuff. Like that's why there's the joke of like, well, it's not exactly rocket science because rocket science is hard.
Right.
Okay, that's the whole deal. Go ahead, Jared, if you want to add anything there.
Oh, I was just going to say, there's just so much happening of late that sometimes it's easy to forget about, how all of this goes. I mean, 10 years ago there wasn't this much to talk about.
Right.
I mean, there was like, it was sort of this idea that these companies are here, but they're probably going to be gone in about 3 to 5 years because that's the average shelf life of these companies.
Yeah.
And they're starting to build hardware now. Okay, so that's how it's good.
Exactly.
Oh, they're flying.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
So.
Lur has an interesting point, which is how many Blue Origin exploding rockets have appeared on YouTube? None. Because as far as I know, they haven't. Well, they did destroy a test stand.
One.
A test stand.
Yeah. But how many test stands do you see anyone?
Video of it?
Yeah, but you don't see anyone. A lot of companies have had problems like that, and you haven't seen that from anyone. So I don't think that's a fair comparison.
Yeah,
Tawik had brought up earlier. SpaceX's orbital. They show all their orbital launches. Blue Origin is suborbital, and they haven't broadcast all. But again, they're in a testing regime right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, in testing, you don't necessarily have to throw everything out there. Some of the things that you're doing might be proprietary, and you don't want that out there. So
yeah, so it was. You kind of hit it. It was kind of a funny inside joke. It was meant as a joke. But I think... Hi, Lisa.
Isaac, be quiet.
This is what happens when you have a space and a science show side by side. So, all right, let's.
Well, she is in New Zealand. So, all right,
there we go. Now we have the Earth.
That'll work for a while. Sorry, Mike. Next comment comes from Old Gamer Noob saying, still fighting about why to have a human head on a space robot? Just think of a VR headset and remote operation capability. There, done.
I don't know.
I don't think it's I think that's a perfectly good point, though.
Sure. I mean, that's not what Robonaut was designed for, though. And ultimately, that's what we, again, context is king. That's what we were talking about.
We were talking about Robonaut was designed in the 90s.
Yeah. There was no VR. Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't mean there can't be in the future.
Yeah,
yes.
That's not what they were. Sure.
Oh my goodness, fine. Okay, so before we leave, I want to make sure that I also acknowledge our ground support patrons, citizens. I apologize. Well, patrons too, I guess. Man.
Well, there's no more maker support, so there you go.
These people contribute $1 per episode, and again, every little bit helps. They, of course, get their name in the show and the acknowledgement from everyone here on Tomorrow. If you are interested in becoming a citizen of Tomorrow, please feel free. Head on over to patreon.com/TMRO. I sometimes like to speak a little bit slowly so you can actually find your name there. Next week.
Yeah, that's a lot of names on there.
There's a lot of names on there.
Actually, this is a very oft-requested guest. And
yes,
I'm
excited about this.
We have Isaac Arthur coming on, who's going to be talking about futurism. And we're specifically, because he goes, Tomorrow talks about kind of the near-term future, right? In the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Isaac goes, what? Millennia kind of thing, right? Way out there. So he's like, he's beyond tomorrow, right? He's next year. His show should be next year without any of the vowels. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of those really far out there concepts and then pull it backwards and see what steps we need to take today to get to those things in tomorrow. I think that's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited to have him on.
Clearly, because I'm Capcom, and you just took over the show, so that's cool.
I'm Commander. I'm allowed.
Nope, you're not. Any case,
I just remembered I'm not going to be here.
Oh no!
I'll watch it. I'll watch it on demand.
Well, you can watch it live.
So I
and or submit your
from
questions.
the middle of nowhere, though.
Pre-submit your questions.
Okay, I'll pre-submit some questions. I'll throw some things.
All right, that's it. We're good.
We're good.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Figured I should double check with you. Donna, is everything okay on your end? Yeah, fantastic, great. Thank you for joining us.
That was the show.
Exactly. Thank you for joining us. We should have a science up next if you are watching live, and if not, why not? You should be watching live. In any case,
so angry.
What's your problem?
Well, it's misdirected. It should be at you.
Wow.
This is why you watch live.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting again.
Oh my goodness. We'll see.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting again.
We'll see everyone next week.
Bye.
Here's what happened. No, she's not an idiot. So what happened was she dialed in to the hologram channel because she's coming up on Tomorrow Science, as she should have.
Yes.
But the hologram channel will automatically switch over to whoever is speaking.
Clearly, because you're talking, and I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, my eyes got so big. I can't ignore what is going on behind you right now.
Right.
So holographic projector was freaking out there.
It was a little hilarious. She was making more noise than Mike was, and so the system was like, "Oh, hey, I need to cut over to this person because they're talking."
Boy.
However, if she had muted her mic and then Mike had coughed, it would have automatically switched back over to Space Mike. Yeah, it's hilarious. Also, we're gonna leave it in because it's funny.
Yes.
So,
I mean, it is now. There's nothing you can do about it. It was like,
I could paint the screen or something like that, but we're not gonna. We're not gonna.
Yeah. For a second there, even I was just like, what is happening to my hologram?
There's a glitch in the system.
What transformations are occurring?
Tars wants to know why you guys must be robotist.
Robotists.
I can't. Well, it's a word I've never actually spoken
They're
out loud
yelling about
before.
VR in the 90s, but again, that's not something that they would have been like, oh, let's build Robonaut for VR. It's not a thing.
But it doesn't mean it can't be a thing.
Robotists, is
It
that
can
like
be a
your-
thing, but with what Robonaut was, there's no way that
You're
was
so
applied.
stuck in the past sometimes.
No, I'm thinking about the past and what it is. It could be in the future, but then again, why does it even have to be
just don't
human?
get-
Nah, doesn't make sense.
I just don't get why people had so much hate on it. It's freaking cool looking.
The Robonaut? I don't know. It's,
Yeah,
it's like
I love the
designing-
head on it.
You don't necessarily need anthropomorphic robots. You can
No.
you can build robots that are more effective if you actually just like ignore making it look like a human and just let it figure out what it needs to do for its task.
That was one of
You
the.
mean anthropomorphic?
What did I say?
Anthropomorphic?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
All the
like,
same world.
Look, this is what happens when you just read words and you don't hear them spoken aloud, okay?
Oh, so all right. So Tara says Robonaut was meant to be controlled by a human wearing stereo headset with haptic gloves. Cool.
didn't work.
Neat. This just goes to show that it's all exactly neat.
Did you want to talk about?
Hi, Lisa.
Hello, Lisa.
See.
My bad. Did I call in during the show? That was awkward.
Yeah, you totally did.
But see how this is working, where Mike is talking and then Lisa says something.
So things and having stuff. And,
In the morning, and I called into the show, and why isn't it changing over to me? This is weird.
It was. It's just that I said it, and then Lisa's talking, and then Mike started talking, so that didn't work. Go ahead now. Now, Mike, talk.
So yeah, let's see. I am transforming right before your eyes.
That's how that works. which is kind of cool because it would allow us, in theory, to bring on more guests, and that's actually how Lisa did the Australian thing.
PlayStation Q&A. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and then that's when I realized that the system's defaulting to a grid view. This stands for grid view. And so I found a way to change it so now it defaults to full screen and then just focuses on whoever's talking. So the moment she dialed in, her microphone was on, boom, it cut to her automatically. I saw you. Well,
I only saw you
she's
from the
sideways
side
here.
too, so I didn't even know who it was, and I was just like, "What the? Who is that? What is happening?"
If you want to,
just like Ustream, where just like random people can call in. What is happening?
Yeah, if you want to see our magic trick and how we do the hologram effect, Lisa, go ahead and say something.
My name is Lisa, and I'm
There you
filming
go.
in a location on the internet.
We totally cheat. We just have her tip her camera on its side, and that's how we get the sideways view on the screen. But now, when you look at a regular screen, she is sideways. That's I just gave you all of our secrets.
I mean, not all of them.
Well, like one or two of them. We were going to talk about something else in After Dark. We only have like 10.
How I am Capcom?
Oh, yes, and I'm Commander, so I outrank you.
You don't. It's just that you're on station, and I am the communication between people here on Earth and what's going on station.
You have one job. One role, one job. What is the line?
I'm not repeating what the
To keep
computer
you in
says.
control.
You.
But no. So Commander would. So yeah, you're Capcom. You can repeat the data, but I can as Commander, I would be able to be like.
You're just going to pull a Skylab mutiny on the station? Is that what you're saying?
We have determined on this very show that there was no Skylab mutiny.
Cool.
Columbia, you're on Vox.
In the famous words.
Oh my God, Space Tech jokes are amazing.
I was going to say, in the famous words of the late John Young, well, how long have we had that?
Oh my God, yeah, Donna for the win. That was amazing.
That was sweet.
That was brilliant. All right, so why don't we do this?
Mission Specialist 1 and Mission Specialist 2 have not signed up for this mutiny. This is all the Commander.
Right.
So you know,
I'm all for it. What?
Mutiny?
What am I joining?
Mutiny.
Cool.
Are you with him or are you with me?
I really wasn't paying attention.
That's right.
So.
That's what I expect out of my mission specialist too.
Team Cannibal or Team Carry-On?
That's all right. You can choose to visit mommy or daddy on the weekends. It's fine.
5. Oh no, 3. 3.
Yeah, right.
So and then MS1, MS2. So for those who don't know, we used to have names like the microphone would say Ben or Carrie Ann or Jared
On the inside.
On the right, but whatever. I hate you all. They used to be named. However, we expanded the size of the cast to, we have Athena, we have Jade,
Right, so it had to be like, Jade, are you Carrion or are you Ben today?
Right.
Like, I don't know. Athena's like, I thought I was Jared today. Like, it gets really confusing really quickly.
Right, so we renamed everything. We came up with a standardized convention of Commander, Capcom, MS1, MS2. That was actually Donna's idea, and I loved it.
Which works way better for space instead of science, but whatever.
It works for all of them, I think. Works for all of them.
Because there's always a Capcom in science.
Because all shows in the TMRO infrastructure are designed to point back to space.
Yes.
They're all for space, so that structure works for everything.
When science comes up with their own format, they can come up with their own damn names.
Oh!
Wow.
Angry. Jeez. God. So all of our mic packs now say so we have roles, and then we have the schedule system, so we know who's what and blah 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 blah.
Right, because sometimes Jared is Capcom, Mike has been Capcom, Athena's been Capcom.
Right.
Yeah.
All of that fun stuff.
Exactly. So then you just pick up whatever microphone you're supposed to grab. So if you're in the schedule as MS2, you just pick up the MS2 microphone. If you're in the schedule as Commander, you pick up Commander, so forth and so on. So that leads to the MS1, MS2 roles, because Commander kind of runs the show. They're the one doing the main interview. Ultimately, blah.
They don't really run the show.
Yeah, they run the show.
So, but they don't run the show.
Sure. So then
they don't run the show.
And then you got MS1, MS2, but they're just mission specialists, so they're not. It's not like MS2 is below MS1. It's that MS1 is mission specialist 1. They have their specific task that they are a mission specialist in. It's neither better nor worse than MS2.
Just like Commander doesn't run the show.
Commander kind of runs the show.
Just because the Commander thinks he runs the show doesn't actually mean he runs the show. So there's that.
Actually, you want to know who really runs the show?
You know who opens the show? Capcom.
You know who actually runs the show?
No, Dutta.
Dutta.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Why don't we do this? You're still
Are
here
both
for.
holograms on the side? No, Jared's got a book, no?
Yep.
Do you have to
No,
book?
I do not have to book.
Okay.
All right, so Space Mike, why don't we do this? Would you mind just sitting and reading your Space Pod script, just like you would for the live show, but record it locally and then email it or put it on Dropbox? I'm trying to not do them. I'll edit.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll edit it together. I just need you to do it exactly like you would for the live show, except
Not live.
not live. And then I'll edit the media on top of it. I'm trying to not do those during After Dark anymore because that kind of defeats the point of After Dark, I think. So
Sure.
And then Jared,
Instead of me calling back in like after science or something like that to do the space pod, I don't know if you were going to do that. Are you gonna stop the broadcast right now? Do Jared's space pod and then come back on for science, or
No.
just do science and then
science
have
and
Jared do
then
your space
science
pod
and
after?
space pods. Yeah, space pods will all be done at the end. And so Jared, I'll let you if you want. You can stick around
I
and
will
do
be,
it.
yeah.
Or in the future, if you want to just record it and then just send me the file, I'll edit it together. Because it feels like simply like saying the first line to the camera, then reading the rest of it, and then saying the last line of the camera is the same thing. It's just that you don't, I'll just drop covering shots. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Right? Same process.
Gotcha. So back to my garage with me?
No, you don't have to.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying you can if you want to, or you can do them after the show, but we're not going to do them live anymore.
Okay. That's cool.
We're not going to do them on the air anymore. Cool?
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fine.
All right, defeats the point of After
So
Dark.
up to you, Jared. You can stay and wait for after science to do it there, or go home and do it at the garage.
Yeah. By the way, same thing with you, Space Mike. If you want to call back in, you are free to do that. Or
Like I'm looking up at you, Jared.
Yeah. Mike, you're a little too good at this now.
Jared's over there now.
oh my God, that is a little creepy and awesome.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Johnny Spacer, Sideways Mike is disorienting. oh my God.
You're telling me.
Thank
How do you
you.
think I feel?
See, YouTube agrees with me. The Commander can only do what's passed on by Capcom.
Nah.
Also, Team Carry-On forever. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Team Carry-On.
Just saying. Not saying, just saying. All right,
And
so
one Helldesk, Commander, Capcom, MS1, MS2, Payload Specialist, Mission Controller, and one Stowaway.
haha!
Stowaway. Nice.
Will he be here all night?
Oh my gosh.
All right.
That's good. All right, well, I will get out then so that so that science can get in, and I will put that into a Dropbox folder, or rather, I'll just put it on the drive.
Sure,
put it on the drive.
That's perfect. And remember, I don't need you to look up during anything that has a covering shot, you can just read like you normally would, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That way you don't have to sit there and have to memorize every line and then have to go back. I assume that's what took forever.
Telling all of our secrets.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, especially you looked at me when you said that. So
no, I'm just looking this way.
40 to 50 takes later with Jared of the studio,
and then you probably put a covering shot on top of it.
What, of my takes?
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. So then
Right. So you like focus on the camera when it didn't matter because we're just gonna cover you anyway.
Well, I can't memorize that much stuff, so. All right.
No joke, eh?
Sounds good.
All right. So yeah, we gotta get.
We're gonna release the set
science
for
in.
science. You guys, gals, ready?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. You get to watch us
Science,
transition over to
everyone
science.
here in the background. So yeah, good luck. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, is my audio potato? Because I tried a new thing.
No, you sound actually pretty decent. And heliopausing? No, we do not have teleprompters.
No, we have confidence monitors, but no prompters. All right, I'm off mic.
I'm off mic too.
Also, I have a giant screen in front of me so I can actually see things for one.
A confidence monitor.
And it's like, yeah, but it's like right, it's like right here, so you can sort of see it, but the table's there anyway, so I feel like it kind of adds to the illusion, and also I don't want to change it. So.
No, you're fine, dude.
I've seen my TMRO mug. It's apparently in Sydney, I think. Don't know where it is.
All right. And I'm off IFB too. Oh, Trala la la la. Tra la la. Normally we would just have After Dark, but on the first Saturday of each month, we also have a science show after the space show. So we've got a new cast coming in, new
Science!
open science. So you're watching us. We're about 20 minutes away from the science show, so we're setting up for that, and then you'll see us start science, and we'll have another hour and a half of science and spacey goodness. Off mic.
Destructor 1701 says that Stoge sounds pretty potato.
It sounded okay to me, but I'm just in a IFB.
I tried this new thing where, like, hopefully it reads this microphone on here.
The thing is that when you hold it up, it sounds great.
And I plugged it into this, like, adapter thing that makes it be USB. I mean, to be honest, there's, like, a really cool microphone right next to me, but I don't know how to get it into my computer because it's, like, a different cable. I don't know how to make it go in the computer.
I mean, you might just have to hold it, dude. Like, it sounds like when you took that element and you held it closer to your mouth, that sounded way better. Can you maybe snake that through your shirt and clip the cable to your shirt so that it kind of... Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't have a clip, though.
You don't have, like, a hair clip or a piece of tape or...
Oh, tape. Is there tape in here?
Because I've done that before, like, tape the cable to the inside of my shirt. You probably don't want to do most of that on camera, by the way.
True.
Well, because that would be me. Like, I would stupidly just be like, oh, here we go, and, like, take my shirt off on camera because I wasn't thinking.
Or I can get a clip, but I would have to run over to a different part of the building.
Like paper clip, binder clip. I mean, you've got like 20 minutes to figure it out, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to run over. Oh, wait, what's that? No.
I'm sorry.
How much time do I have?
You've got quarter to the hour, so, I mean, at least 15 minutes. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go for materials.
Okay. Bye.
Where's she going?
So the microphone that she has is one of those, like you would have on a cell phone. It's like part of the earbuds, right? So when it's hanging next to her, she kind of sounds potato. But if she pulls it in just a little bit, like you would for a regular microphone, it actually sounds relatively decent. But she doesn't have a clip for it because it's not designed to do that. So she's going to go find like a paper clip or a binder clip or something and still snake it through underneath her shirt and clip it. And the sound should be better. But she's got to run to a different part of the building. She said to go do that. So it's going to take her a minute. And I was like, well, you've got time. I was like, it's 1:45. I'm like, wait, that timing doesn't mean anything to you. It's quarter till the hour, I guess.
Yeah, I would.
All black.
You can start late just to get better audio.
Yeah, no, I think just her bringing it in, even if she just clips the cable here-ish, it brings the microphone from like here to like here, and it's just, it's better. It's just a lot better.
Jackets.
All right, so I'll hop off
put
the
it
microphone.
On every time I do the show.
Yeah, I don't know that Commander's in use because I
forgetting it
think.
because I'll leave it on one jacket.
It's more complicated than I initially expected.
Okay, wait, you got it. And there's a cord. Okay.
I just didn't want to leave the entire like chat room
here.
like
Okay.
without anything.
Would you like to come downstairs and help me grab something?
Absolutely. Let me get off mic. Yes. Cool.
Oh, Jade's Capcom.
Great.
Wasn't there a difference between Commander and Capcom?
Commander's typically the person who does the interview. Capcom's usually the person who like shuffles things through news.
Oh, okay.
So
So there's no Commander today then, if there's no interview.
Correct.
Cool, so she's Capcom. No Commander. And I'm MS.
We're running a
1, I
commanderless
think.
ship.
I'm an MS2, I lied.
Oh yeah, Jonathan, I wanted to introduce you.
Distractor, that's hilarious.
Because I was like, oh my god, you get to meet Jared.
Yes. Aiming to hit up a yacht today.
Thank you, milady.
You are so welcome.
I just misspelled yacht.
Okay.
Cool.
Where are they?
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, now I just lost a comment.
Is it denim day?
I love it.
Looks like you just stepped on me.
I'm trying to find that comment. I just lost
Okay,
it.
this
Oh, there
better?
it is.
Because I clipped a thing to a thing, like one of those clips that you use for like paper and stuff. Oh man, it's too early. I think
Wait,
it
what
looks
time
weird,
is
but
it, Lisa?
Commander and MS2 are dead.
it's actually, I'm like being overreacting because it's like 7:46 in the morning. It's not that early. I only woke up at 6.
So I have Commander.
This is MS2.
I'm sorry, MS1.
Oh, okay.
MS1.
MS1 is replaced by Hologram.
But yeah, I think I sound better. I don't know. Audio really good now. Yeah, that's right. Do the thing. I
Lisa,
also
you
have an
sound
amazing
great.
camera. I could have plugged in this really good camera, but then again, it was like, here's a cord. There's no thing for that in my computer, so I don't know. Oh well.
Level check. Lisa, please.
Today for breakfast, I had nothing because I was driving here to where I am to film the show, so I didn't have breakfast, but I did have like a candy. I don't know if that really counts as breakfast, but I got really excited because I love candy.
Audio good.
And yeah.
Audio good. You're under fluorescent lights?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I'm gonna start.
You need some like front-facing lights or something.
So like a Himalayan sea salt lamp. Go big, good
Something I
energy.
don't have access to today, sadly.
I purposely said that because you were right in front of me.
Out of my eyes.
Athena, can you speak, please?
Yes. I had a really awesome breakfast with Greek yogurt, and I added maca root powder to it because maca root powder. Sorry. Okay. And it was really good, and it brings a lot of really good energy, and it wakes you up instead of having coffee.
Shenanigans,
Okay.
but thank you. Jay,
Oh, is mine working now? Can you hear me okay?
I can.
I had a sandwich, I had a brownie, I had a coffee, I had a chocolate croissant.
Oh gosh, that sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
it's a crazy night last
Been
night.
up since. Oh, okay.
I eat that way, but I'm like 500 pounds because of it, so I'm a little jealous.
Well,
Okay.
I'm trying to get there.
You trying to get to 500 pounds?
You betcha.
Oh, are you in the gains now?
Oh man,
Are you doing like the
I've
10,000
been
calorie?
bulking since I was born.
Yes. Are you doing like? Are you gonna do like a
I haven't
physique
done it.
competition?
No,
I'm
just
imagining
for powerlifting.
Baby J being like, got a ball! little, like,
Basically.
You had like little pigtails.
And everyone
probably.
thought I was like a little Asian boy when I was. Everyone thought I was a little Asian boy when I was a little kid because I used to cut my own hair. And so my mom eventually just had to almost shave my head. There, I think, no, I didn't
Okay,
get
no,
it.
you
Yeah,
didn't
can you
get
get, thanks, Mom.
You're trying to do it upside down here. I'm going to put on the loop here. So it'll be easier. Oh my god.
Wait,
why is this not working? How do some people do this on shows?
I don't know, but...
Brownies in the refrigerator?
Oh, those are the ones that Athena made.
Oh god, those are probably really bad.
Okay.
That's been since like
I
Christmas.
put those in the refrigerator and I didn't tell anyone.
Wait. Actually, no, it's Easter. I'm
I also
sorry.
ate most
Never
of
mind.
them. Sorry, not sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just normal Actually, they're gluten-free vegan brownies, and they're hard as a rock. So I'm gonna throw them out.
What are you
But
just
not the
intentionally trying to be creepy, Dan?
type of brownie.
Do you want to be on Tomorrow Science? Because, you know, you can come on the show if you like. Talk some science.
Ben is always intentionally creepy.
A snack.
I think it's gonna fall if you keep it like that.
Oh, no, this usually stays, yeah.
Okay. So I hung the other one on the loop here.
Oh, thank you.
Is that okay? Or
Yeah,
is
that's
that
fine.
uncomfortable? Okay.
Just
Yay.
dangling. Let me get my
It's
hair.
destructive.
Hair
Also,
away.
do you guys ever want someone to like pick up specific snacks or something?
On a helicopter over the lava flow in Hawaii and using satellite photos. Wow.
So we're still keeping the intro pretty short and sweet then? Okay.
Yay.
Goodness, all that like lava in Hawaii stuff. Whew. It's so crazy because I was like walking like right there where all the lava is from my geology training.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Did you just say lava?
Lava.
Lava.
That's when we replay it later and see if there was an R there. People used to call me a Athener.
Athener?
I don't know why.
Athener.
In elementary school, it used to bother me, certain teachers. I'm like, why do you add an R to my name? And then they'd be
They must have been Australian.
I don't understand. I'm Googling stuff about the lava now. That's crazy, Lisa, you were there?
Yeah, for my geology training. So we went around and like lava flows and stuff, like with maps and like determine what type of lava it was, like whether it was like a pahoehoe flow or an aa flow, and they're two different kind of types of lava depending on how fast the lava was going.
Wait, what was that first one? Hoi hoi?
Hoi hoi.
How much has indigenous Hawaiian language influenced lava research because of its proximity to active volcanoes?
I think a lot, because I guess a lot of volcano research was done in Hawaii, right? Because it's just so easy to access the volcano stuff there. Also, my chat room just crashed.
Same. Okay, cool. Wasn't the only one.
I was looking at lava.
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 So yeah, I think a lot of native Hawaiian words are used.
Can't take off my hat. I just don't want to.
Use of lava. So.
I feel like it adds some contrast. The red.
I just didn't want to.
It changes the color in here.
I was like you this morning. I didn't want to brush my hair. I didn't want to do anything. I just slap a hat.
I actually like it with the hat because like it's red, just like a little part of Lisa's chair, and so the adds like contrast to the colors.
Red anyway, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with you wearing the hat, but you got to keep your head up
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
to keep your eyes in the light.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
We can put a
Hi,
flashlight
welcome
right
to
here.
Tomorrow's
What's
Live.
up?
Sup?
Oh my god.
This is Lisa. This is Dina. Today we're going to talk about bubbles. Alright. I will take this out of the way.
No, it's time to listen to us right now.
Hey, no drinks by the hardware, please. There's a lot of expensive.
9 minutes.
TMRO rap
Sorry,
show.
8 minutes.
It'll be like TMRO Idol, except it's rap.
Remember that time when Mike...
I love you.
What?
Hi. I hid my coffee right there.
Okay, seriously, like, my chat room is completely gone.
Mine is back.
That's not... Did I, like, just refresh? I don't know what to do.
That's what I did. What?
Is she?
I don't.
I'm married to the hustle.
Like, I'm really awkward answering questions like that.
Dude, same. Oh man.
Like, I don't know what to say.
It's just like,
It's like, what even is the
like
definition
space.
of? It likes space.
I am one single entity on planet Earth. I have not merged with another human yet, so I am technically a single existence.
I just love looking at pictures of lava.
I like it when people step on it.
What?
You haven't seen the
On
video?
lava?
Yeah.
Someone stepping on lava?
Step on lava.
No.
Check it out.
Whoa.
What's a friend? How do you get a friend? How come I don't have any friends? Yeah, check this out. It's really cool. Don't you just want to bite into that?
Yeah. Oh my
Chinese
gosh.
will work.
It,
Another
like,
word
shocked.
to describe lava flow, like one other type.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
You can like
definitely
melt the
dangerous.
freaking.
I love how it like shocked. Like,
Yeah.
It, like, the
There's ones where
plasma,
like they do it a little longer.
That's so cool. When they do it longer.
It looks like a yummy, like a taffy though.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the lava taffy.
Just want to eat it.
Lava taffy.
Lava
I've
taffy.
added one more sticker to this
What
Yuri's
day?
night, but it's like I don't know what to do because like I really want to preserve like the backdrop
spaciness?
of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm like I want to add more stickers because I have like 15 more stickers.
If this wasn't my work computer as well, I might deck it
This
out.
is my work computer.
But
I could pop this off and then it's just like.
Oh yeah.
Wait, what if I do like stickerception?
Do
Where
stickers on the actual computer.
On the actual computer, and then I take this off, and then it's like stickers, and then it's like, it's more stickers. If people underestimate the amount of stickers I have, I'll just show them that I'll have more on my actual computer. I'm doing that. You guys heard it here first. I do. There's so many stickers, and there's all these stickers out there. For a second, I thought Jared was playing with like toy trucks. I saw him like pushing the box of soda, and I was like, "Is that a truck? I want to play."
What's up?
I thought you were playing with toy trucks on the ground for a second.
No, not
That
at
would have
this
been great.
point today. Later I will, but
There's a garbage can back here
no,
too.
I just put the sodas away.
Soders.
The sodas.
I'm gonna
The
bring
pops.
I'm gonna bring some toy trucks. Sugar bubbles.
Nice.
There's a lot of talk of bubbles today. A lot of bubble talk.
I love bubbles.
Yeah,
Aw.
bubbles
I
are
miss my bubbles.
amazing.
I'm really sad.
Bubbles.
Bubbles. It sounded really creepy.
The bionic human.
Hola, Teo.
Did you say hi in a different language?
I said hola to Teo.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was another language, yeah.
It sounded like, I don't know, Korean or something. I wouldn't know what Korean is. Yeah, I kind of know what it is.
Oh, with the roundtable today, guys, I just kind of threw in a bunch of like notes and stuff in like
I saw
the
that.
rundown.
Yeah.
But like you don't have to use it. That's probably what I'm going to talk about.
Amazing.
Because I'm too lazy to another document. But yeah.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of links that I referenced that I threw in there too, and those are the ones I'll probably be like focusing a bit on. I watched a few TED Talks of Hugh, so I figured like that'd be really fun to talk about. Dude, it's crazy. I'm really excited for the roundtable. Are you guys excited for the roundtable today, even though you have no idea what it's about? Yes, I am. We know what it's about. You guys will find out soon.
It's going to be me.
It's what?
Chat room. Go on. No.
They gave us a warning. They said it was going to reboot.
Your chat room is going to go away.
Okay.
It'll come
Time
back.
to look at more lava photos.
Dude, these old
They scare me. I was in the car coming
They're
here and I was
cool.
like, what?
Like, to be honest.
I can imagine the pain.
To be honest, like, if I had to get, like, something added onto me like that, because something was taken away, I would definitely go with the more crude, like, I think that would just be so cool. Or, like,
You won't
kind
be
of
able
like,
to do anything. It'd
what
be
was
so
it?
heavy.
What was that movie that I think it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, where the chick Rose McGowan got her leg cut off and it got replaced with a machine gun?
What?
Oh yeah.
I did not see this.
What was that? It wasn't Sin City.
okay,
It was a
it's not
similar
Sin
vein.
City.
It was one of those.
You have to be super
somewhat short
flexible to
film.
like start shooting.
Oh, dude, it was really cool. Rose McGowan gun leg movie.
That's crazy.
Yeah, see? Isn't that dope?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Planet Terror. It was a part of a duo because there's like another film.
Oh my goodness.
Cool Whip.
Oh, it's so cheesy.
Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
It's just like you know, every time you want to shoot someone, it's just like I hope she does a lot of ballet classes.
They did it though. They did it cool. She would like go down
like jump on like her side of her arms and stuff.
Pretty amazing. Just saying.
That's hilarious. Oh man.
Chat room fixed yet?
Yeah, Grindhouse. Yeah, Planet Terror. Yeah, you guys are
Chat should be fixed.
Yeah, on it.
2 minutes.
Yay! A psycho gun for the leg. Sounds like it was both action and horror.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It came in a double feature. It was Planet Terror and what's the other one? Was it Death Race? Was that what it was called? That was gnarly. Both of them were cool.
That sounds interesting. I don't know what I would want to do. I'd want like
1 minute.
supervision. Oh, we should talk about superheroes.
Yeah.
And like the next roundtable, superheroes and the likelihood of any of that becoming real.
If we could seriously do like a science of like lightsabers or something, or like the science of hyperdrive, I don't know.
That would be so cool.
That would be neat. So
that would be awesome.
The superhero one would be really cool. You could pick a superhero each and then like
Down.
and, like use back up their powers.
Heck yeah.
That would be so cool.
So down. All right, so let me. Can you see my? Can you see my eyes? Okay. Excuse me.
Hairball.
No dying. Rule one.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Kyle Hill. Thank you. That's who I was thinking of. But I didn't want to jock his idea. Yeah, I'm ready.
The guy with the hair.
Okay. Make sure the hair is not on the mic. Where's the microphone? Oh, there it is. Okay, wait.
Oh, is my lag bad today or is it better?
Sounds pretty good.
It actually is good. Yeah.
Wait.
We'll find out right now. Yeah.
We'll find out.
Okay. Everybody ready to go?
Yes.
Yes.
Here we go.
Hello and welcome to Tomorrow. I'm Jade, this is Athena, and this is Lisa. And today in news, we will be speaking about
bubble curtains possibly saving the world?
And can green tea cure heart disease?
And later, of course, we're going to have an interesting roundtable discussion about prosthetics, the future, present, and past. And of course, we'll take a look at your comments from the last science show. This is Tomorrow Science Discovery 1.06. And before we get into news, we want to give a huge thank you to our Escape Velocity citizens. These folks contribute $10 in an episode or $30 a month. Every little bit helps, and we wouldn't be able to continue making these amazing shows if it weren't for you. If you would like to become a citizen of tomorrow, head on over to patreon.com/TMRO. All right, Athena. So apparently bubble curtains are going to be saving the world, so that's pretty nice. I mean, I think I could sleep better at night now, knowing that something as cute as bubble curtains are going to be helping me exist. So
yeah, it sounds super cute. I love the name, but it really has to do a lot with hurricanes. Now, hurricanes, a lot of us have known, have really impacted societies all over the world. It's affected millions of people. Actually, Hurricane George, which hit Puerto Rico in 1998, affected 1.3 million people, including destroying homes and also taking away lives. So it's really important to understand how exactly hurricanes can possibly be prevented, and this is exactly what scientists are working on right now. They're doing this through something known as the bubble curtain method. It consists of taking a pipe with holes in it, dipping it down in water deep enough to where the temperatures are pretty cold, and then raising the pipe up to the surface area where the water is a lot hotter. And so by doing this, the bubbles are released out of the pipes from the colder temperature waters, and when it mixes with the hotter water, it actually brings the sea surface temperature down, specifically below 26.5 degrees Celsius. And this temperature is really important because this is typically when tropical storms start to form and can develop into hurricanes. Now, right now, around the world, surface temperatures of the seas are actually increasing. During hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria, the sea surface temperature of the Gulf of Mexico reached a high of 32 degrees Celsius. So what scientists are exploring right now is to try and find a way to bring the surface temperature below that 26.5 degrees Celsius. And some original ideas that they were exploring were cloud seeding, which is adding sea salt molecules to clouds. And this makes them whiter in color and it makes them more reflective, which could reduce the sea surface temperatures. Another method was to tow icebergs from the Arctic to these regions where tropical hurricanes happen, like the Gulf of Mexico. And then another was to release the dry ice from aircraft near areas of where hurricanes happen. But in Norway, they've actually been using this bubble curtaining technique for quite a while now, but for the opposite temperature changes, where the waters in the winter are very, very cold, much colder at the surface rather than in the depth of the oceans. And so what they would do is dip the pipes deep enough to reach the warmer waters and then rise the pipes up to bring the warmer water to the colder levels of the water, and this actually prevents the water at the surface from icing over during the winters. This is like a gorgeous picture from Iceland. I love this one. And what's really cool is this research was actually recently granted funding from Innovation Norway, and researcher Olav Holy-Sæter has actually teamed up with SINTEF, which is one of Europe's largest independent research organizations. And they're actually using this type of bubble curtaining for oil spills. And they'll now be working in collaboration for these bubble curtains and possibly use them along the Yucatan Strait to help prevent future hurricanes and saving lives one bubble at a time. So I think that's like really cool. And I love that image of the Yucatan Strait. Because it's a really large area, and that really is where tropical storms start to form, because you have this mix of the cold air and then the hot water, and it just constantly has like a mix of currents. And I mean, I've experienced a lot of hurricanes personally coming from New York, and it's insane. So to think that we'd be able to maybe do this where we use bubble curtains just all along the strait would be really cool, and it would help a lot.
Exactly. And I always think it's so bonkers when we can do anything technology or engineering wise that could potentially affect the weather as an entire system, because I mean, nature is a force to be reckoned with, obviously, and it just seems so out of our control. But the fact, like things like cloud seeding and these little things that we can do to kind of influence the weather patterns and whatnot, it's just always mind blowing to me, because it's like we're in this giant planet, and then all of a sudden you can actually influence what the atmosphere's doing. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Super cool. Yeah,
it's really crazy.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, on from bubble curtains and into fat. Apparently, there is a new link between fat, energy, and diabetes, which I am quite interested in. So please tell me more about that, Lisa.
Well, there's a group of over 40 scientists from a whole bunch of different institutions, including the University of Copenhagen and Harvard Medical School, and they found a link between energy, fat, and diabetes. They published a study in the scientific journal Cell Metabolism on May 31st of this year, so super recent. They actually looked at brown fat tissue. Now, we all know that we have fat in our bodies, but there's different types. We've got white fat and brown fat. Brown fat actually burns energy to generate heat, whereas white fat is the fat that you might be familiar with. And inside the cells of white fat and brown fat, they're different on the inside as well. So white fat just has one big giant glob of like fat inside the cell, whereas the brown fat has smaller globs of fat and lots of mitochondria, which you might remember from high school science. Mitochondria are like the energy powerhouses of the cell, and they generate all the energy for our body. And actually, it turns out that babies have more brown fat than adults do. As we get older, we start to lose this brown fat. Although apparently now there's this kind of new thought that there's now a beige kind of fat, like in between brown and white, that's can be turned into brown fat with some modification. But that's a whole other topic for another day. But how does brown fat actually work? Well, the brown fat gets activated by cold temperatures. So you can see here, there's a mouse. It's being exposed to about 5 degrees Celsius. And inside those cells of brown fat, the fat globules, and also lots of the mitochondria, which you can see is the brown globs there. And the mitochondria are making lots and lots of energy. And there's actually a specific enzyme in there called cardiolipin synthase 1, and it makes a molecule called cardiolipin. But why is cardiolipin important? Well, it turns out it's important for this brown fat process to turn energy directly into heat to keep you warm when you're exposed to really cold temperatures. And so the cardiolipin gets made and it signals to the nucleus of the cell and the DNA to keep making more and more of a specific gene called UCP1. And it also stimulates that thermogenesis, or generating heat. And it also makes the brown fat cells take in more glucose because, of course, if you want to make energy, you need a fuel. And for our bodies, that's glucose. But it also increases insulin sensitivity. Well, what does insulin have to do with all this? If you know anyone with diabetes, you might know that insulin is related to glucose, the glucose in our bloodstream, because it helps us take the glucose from the blood into our cells. So cardiolipin, this is the important molecule that these scientists were studying, is really important for increasing insulin sensitivity as well. But how does that all relate to what the researchers are actually doing? Well, sometimes the best way to find out how this whole system works and why cardiolipin is so important for brown fat is to actually break the system. So that's what they did. They took some mice and they knocked out that gene for a cardiolipin synthase, or the factory that makes cardiolipin. And so these mice didn't have this cardiolipin factory anymore, and they couldn't make any cardiolipin. So then they kind of figured out what happened to the mice, and the bad effects that happened kind of showed if you break the system, that's why cardiolipin is so important. So they took the knocked out mice, or the mice with no cardiolipin, and the regular mice, and they put them in the cold to see the differences. Now, we have an electron microscope image stack here of the brown fat cells inside of the control mouse, or the normal mouse that didn't have this kind of inability to make cardiolipin. And you can see the white is the blood vessels, the dark brown dots are the fat globules, and the smaller brown dots are the mitochondria. There's heaps and heaps of small brown dots, heaps of mitochondria, and the fat globules are pretty small, just like you'd expect in normal brown fat tissue. But in the mice that couldn't make cardiolipin, it's a big difference. There are huge globules of fat, hardly any bits of blood vessels, and hardly any mitochondria as well. There's hardly any tiny little brown dots. So now these poor mice that can't make cardiolipin have giant fat globules in their brown fat cells. And if this is a little bit too hard to visualize, we've actually got a computer-generated diagram of what that would actually look like in 3D. So on the left, you can see the control mouse, the mouse that was still normal. And as you'd expect, small globs of fat and lots of mitochondria. The mitochondria are in green in this image. And on the right, huge fat globules and not so much mitochondria for the poor mice that can't make cardiolipin anymore. And so it kind of turns out that the mice without cardiolipin turned out to be less cold tolerant. They burned less energy, and they took in less glucose as well. So the top left-hand graph you can see there, the mice that couldn't make cardiolipin is the red line, and they were much, much less tolerant of the cold. And if you look at the very bottom right-hand graph, you can see the red again is the cardiolipin mice that couldn't make it. And again, they couldn't take in that much glucose from their bloodstream, which means they have lots and lots of glucose staying around in their blood and not getting into the cells where it needs to be. And we have another image that shows the effect of giving those mice insulin, just like how anyone with diabetes, if they have high blood sugar, they put in insulin in their bodies and it fixes everything. Well, with these mice here, giving them insulin didn't really take the glucose out of their bloodstream. It didn't work on them. And so we call this insulin resistance. And you might have heard that term before because it's basically the road to diabetes. If your insulin is not working to get the glucose into your blood cells, you're pretty much guaranteed to get diabetes after that. So you need to really kind of figure out what's going on and fix that. But let's bring it back to humans, because this is all in mice, right? And
exactly.
How does it's not relatable for something that's happening in a mouse. It might not be the same in humans. But the researchers thought that this had enough merit that they looked at humans as well. And they looked at a specific genetic mutation in people from Denmark. It was a mutation in the cardiolipin synthase, the factory that makes cardiolipin. And they found that people with this mutation couldn't make as much cardiolipin, and they had greater rates of diabetes and insulin resistance. So it seems like the link is there in humans as well. And it means if we can find a way to boost levels of cardiolipin in people's cells, then we might reduce the risk of getting insulin resistance or diabetes. So we might be on the road to the future of helping people here with diabetes and stopping them from getting it. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, diabetes, of course, onset is still a pretty serious issue, at least here in the States, and I'm sure worldwide as well. So all of this interest in all of this research and going into, as you said, into my studies, but then being able to extrapolate that to the human system is always really useful. And I really look forward to seeing where this kind of evolves, because coming from like the health and fitness industry, diabetes is one of those things that can be very pervasive in certain clients. And so the more research, I think, the better, because it can definitely put a damper on your lifestyle, for sure.
One of the really cool things about this research too is that it was completely open access. I didn't have to pay to get the paper. I didn't have to pay to get the image. It was all funded by the European Research Council, and so it was made available to everybody. I think that's really important too.
Absolutely, definitely. Well, thank you for that. So, speaking of what goes on inside of our bodies, apparently there is something about our gut and something living in our gut that can dictate how long we live. Possible immortality. I don't know, Athena. Why don't you explain it to us?
Yeah, so speaking about humans and our health, there's this really cool study I was reading on about what really can help aid us in living longer. A lot of us really know that what affects us and the way that we really live our everyday lives is truly what we ingest as human beings. So now what about living longer? Scientists have been doing very intensive studies lately on this subject and been trying to analyze specifically what happens in our gut. And there's some living creatures where they take in food and they have really significant outcomes. Take fruit flies, for example. Fruit flies, as crazy as it sounds, are actually about 70% similar to mammals on a biochemical comparison. So because of this, scientists have been conducting quite a lot of studies on them. They created some food consisting of probiotics and an herbal supplement known as Trifala and fed them to half of the fruit flies. And that half that actually had ingested these, it prolonged their life by 60% compared to the fruit flies that were not fed the supplements. But now what I'm curious about, and I'm sure you guys are, is really what the science is behind us, what's actually happening. Now, inside of the gut, there's a bacteria called a microbiota, and they exist there to help metabolize food. And there's a direct communication between the brain and these microorganisms, the microbiota, and this is referred to as the gut-brain axis. This communication system is very impactful on our digestive system. There's been multiple studies that have shown a direct relation of neuropathological changes like irritable bowel syndrome, neurodegeneration, and even depression. So having a healthy gut and levels of bacteria in there to break down the food is extremely important. So specifically, the reason they use probiotics to add it into this, the reason they used probiotics and added it into the supplements that they fed to the fruit flies was because probiotics have been shown to really change the structure of the gut, the microbiota, which is that microorganism we were talking about inside the gut. Probiotics are shown to really change how our bodies also metabolize food. And so by adding just one single probiotic formulation, it can really affect the biochemical signaling pathways, which directly impacts the physical effects. Again, the gut-brain axis. So here, if you're adding the probiotics, it really is going to affect overall physical health and wellness. So the reason why this results of the fruit flies have been so dramatic is because it really showed signs of reduced traits of aging. For instance, insulin resistance and inflammation, which is why the lives of these specific fruit flies were prolonged by 60%. Also, combined with the probiotics was, again, that herbal supplement I mentioned, which is called the Trifala. And it's actually a formulation made from a form of traditional Indian medicine called amalaki, bibihitaki, and haritaki, which are all fruits that are used as medicinal plants, and they've been used for very, very long times for traditional medicines and Indian medicine. So it's really cool. This is part of herbal supplements and homeopathic medicines, and the overall goal of the study really is to try and help apply what's found in this specific study into human disorders like chronic inflammation, depression, irritable bowel syndrome, and even cancer. So it's incredible because we've always known for a long time that the food that we really do take in has a direct impact. But right now, the fact that they're actually doing studies on this, and of all things on fruit flies, which I really didn't know had 70% of a comparison to mammals on a biochemical scale, it's incredible. So I think that that's really cool. And for everyone out there who's been drinking probiotics, that's awesome. And anything with our digestion really helps, because a lot of times too, you think about it, people say like, oh, I have a gut instinct that the situation is bad. It's like that's part of the gut axis, which is the gut-brain axis, which is like a real study right now that they're working on, is our relation between the gut and the brain.
I'm really intrigued to learn, like, how do you actually like dissect the tiny little fruit fly
That's
and
what
like
I was thinking.
get its gut,
Like an
and then,
electron
measure the-
microscope and like.
So they actually fed the fruit flies.
Tiny, and then you've got to like have to use tiny little surgical tools to like cut the gut out of it.
Or
Like,
maybe you
what?
hire a
How do you
fruit fly surgeon who has like their doctorate and they go in there. I mean, I don't know, maybe they have a cute little outfit.
Well, this specifically, they were only feeding it to the fruit flies, and then they noticed that they were having like a very like prolonged life. But as far as knowing and understanding its biochemical makeup, I'm assuming they probably used microscopes to really figure out how that comparison to mammals. But then understanding as far as how probiotics really affect the gut, that was done in mammals, and that was much bigger to be able to dissect. But as far as dissecting little fruit flies, I don't know if they actually did that. There was nothing I read as far as in this study specifically, because this, again, was just about feeding the fruit flies. But it's still interesting that in humans, how we really can change the structure.
Oh, absolutely,
of that.
And it's fascinating too, because I know you mentioned like the research is still relatively new, and so all of the research going into the gut microbiome and all of its effects on like inflammation and IBS and like even diabetes, it's fascinating, that link. And I mean, probiotics can be delicious. I mean, you got like a lot of fermented foods. You have kimchi. Represent. Hey, sauerkraut if you're into that, and even like Greek yogurt and whatnot. And it really does kind of help a lot of people. Obviously, that in and of itself won't reverse like a major disease, but it definitely can contribute to overcoming a lot of things.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. I love that about what I read.
Food's great.
Food is awesome.
All right.
I'm
So
hungry.
speaking of food and beverages and healthy things, apparently green tea can help prevent strokes and heart attacks or heart disease?
Well, according to researchers at Lancaster University in the UK, they think that green tea might keep us safe from heart disease. And they published a study in the Journal of Biological Chemistry on May 31, so super recent. But before we talk about green tea, let's talk about heart disease, specifically hardening chance. It will build up there. These buildup of cholesterol attract immune system cells and turn into plaques or hard lumps that stick out and block the flow of blood. And you would think that bringing the immune system is, well, the researchers took green tea extract and added it to a solution of apolipoprotein A1, which I'm going to call ApoA1 from now on because it's a mouthful. And here's an image of ApoA1 here. It's made up of a few different chains of molecules to form the protein, and it can bind to itself to form a glob, or scientifically that's called an amyloid deposit, which can stick to existing plaques or lumps within your arteries, further restricting the blood flow and damaging your blood vessels. ApoA1 plaques can also destabilize existing buildups, helping them to open up or break off and increase the risk of stroke and heart attack. But the green tea extract, or the researchers made a cup of green tea in the microwave and purified it to make a compound called epigallocatechin-3 gallate, which I'm shortening to EGCG, which also is still a tongue twister, but that's okay. ECGC was able to break the ApoA1 into smaller compounds, into smaller fragments, and so they dissolved in the blood rather than building up into deposits and smashing into the plaques and opening them up. So this could prevent heart attacks and stroke, but there's a few reasons why you shouldn't go chugging liters or gallons for those in imperial units of green tea right now. So this study looked at green tea extract, but actually you need super high concentrations to have that effect. So you need to drink so much green tea that you'd make yourself sick. The researchers think that future work could modify the ECGC so that it would be absorbed easier, and then you wouldn't have to drink so much of green tea to get the same effect. And it was also performed by mixing just like extracts, solutions of molecules together. It wasn't even done inside cells, let alone in a full mouse or a full human. So we don't know if it's going to have the same effect in actual bodily systems. They did, however, do some research on human systems. They got some human blood vessel cells and they added a mixture of ApoA1 and EGCG to see if the reaction of creating the smaller fragments, they wanted to check if the smaller fragments were toxic to the cells, and it turns out they were non-toxic, which is a good sign and probably means that, it's not going to have any bad after effects of, having the ECGC in a human system. But you don't know for sure until we actually test it in humans. So we'll just have to wait for scientists to find a way to make this miracle molecule ECGC better so that it gets exactly to the right place in the body that it needs to go, and that there's enough of it there to have the right effect. So stay tuned for that. More work needs to be done.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you clarified that as well, that in these studies, oftentimes they're sensationalized in magazines and on newspapers like, oh, green tea can save your life. And of course, green tea is extremely healthy for you and, you should consume it for its other health benefits. But it's so good that you mentioned that these are high concentrations of a very specific molecule, and in order to get that and to extract that from an actual thing of green tea, like you said, you'd make yourself sick and probably live in the restroom for the next week or so. So good on you for mentioning.
It was science, and it was really good research. But yeah, you're right. It gets sensationalized and exaggerated on the amount of impact that it can have. So it's really important, when we look at these scientific studies, to think critically and think of how it actually relates to the bigger picture, which is why I wanted to talk about that today.
Exactly. Absolutely. So with that being said, that concludes the news segment. We are going to take a very quick commercial break. And when we return, we are going to have a fascinating roundtable discussion on prosthetics. So go ahead and stay tuned.
We've always looked to the stars. They guide us, give us comfort, help us find our way. We see ourselves out there. When we look up, it inspires us. And we long for something we don't yet know. We yearn to go there. So, we venture forth.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not.
Many think we stopped exploring. But we know our journey didn't end. We've only just begun.
Orion is functioning perfectly at this point.
Come with us and explore tomorrow.
Well, hello there, and welcome back. Before we delve into this roundtable discussion, we want to give a big old thank you to our Escape Velocity citizens. These are folks who contribute $5 an episode or $15 a month. Every little bit helps, and we wouldn't continue to be able making these amazing shows if it weren't for you. If you would like to be awesome and become a citizen of tomorrow, head on over to patreon.com/TMRO. All right, ladies, so we have a pretty interesting topic today, and it's actually a topic I personally have never done a whole lot of research on before we just started prepping for this, and that is prosthetics.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think this is going to be a really...
Yeah, Athena came up with the idea for this one, and as soon as she said that, I was like, wow, this is really something I've not kind of thought about before, and it could be super interesting, especially with all the recent advances in this kind of field. So super cool topic idea, Athena.
It was actually my Uber driver that recommended it. He was telling me about Hugh Her, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. And so Hugh Her, for those of you guys that don't know, he not recently, but he ended up losing both of his legs through frostbite when he was like doing mountain climbing, and he ended up completely developing like the next evolution of prosthetics for his legs. And it's incredible, some of the footage, if you guys want to check it out sometime. He's been able to create like extreme biometrics for prosthetics of his limbs and his legs specifically, and he's able to like add all these different components and get it to really resonate well. This is actually an image of him. And I was watching his TED Talk this morning, which was incredible. So I think that I would want to kind of start with where we really started with prosthetics, which is kind of crazy. Like there's some really old fossils, one that was found on an Egyptian mummy from 950 BC, and it was of a toe.
The big toe, exactly.
A big toe. It was like really, really kind of gross looking, but
it looks pretty. I mean, of course, the Egyptians were quite advanced in a lot of their engineering feats, but I mean, this looks pretty like. I don't know. I feel like for an Egyptian toe, like that looks pretty spot on. I'd be cool with that.
And a lot of
that's not the Egyptian toe that we're showing there. This is way further along.
Oh yes.
Like the Kim toes. So we'll come back to that one in a little bit.
Yeah, so like the really big start of prosthetics was started just by like any type of tools that someone can find in their kitchen. So there's some people that actually used the leg of a chair to replace like a leg for a little kid. Yeah. And they really used to use anything, cloth or like leather, or they would just thread it onto the person, and it never really had much mobility. Just to kind of see really what we've evolved into is quite incredible. But yeah, so this is some of the stuff as far as with prosthetics that I thought was really interesting with the evolution. As far as how that goes. Now I guess there was a little kind of here definition I'll read for you guys, referring to what exactly it is. It refers to prosthesis. I'm not exactly sure which one of you guys wrote this, but I figured I'd read it. It's a definition that's found on medicinenet.com. And it's really interesting. It says it's an artificial substitute or replacement of a part of the body, such as a tooth, eye, or facial bone, or palate, a hip, or knee. And a prosthesis is designed for functionality or cosmetic reasons, or both. So again, I think it's interesting how it went from really like a big necessity to now. I mean, I know we're not going to talk about plastic surgery, but that's even a form it's sort of transitioned into, which is a cosmetic route of replacing items with body parts with actual external items.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I think you raise a really good point there. Like you were saying, back in the past with the history, it was very much just making a prosthetic device to fit a function. So if somebody had lost a leg, let's give them a peg leg, from a table.
Yeah, something to balance on, basically. Yeah.
Because you need something to balance, something to hold the weight on the leg.
Minimal functionality, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, minimal functionality, and we're moving slowly towards both increasing the functionality and increasing, the look of these items, which is like that toe that we saw before. That is using the latest technology in 3D printing to make a lifelike toe, and that's a company that's called Limbs and Things. Whatever.
I love it.
Limbs and Things.
Limbs are us.
They're making these realistic, and to me, I don't know, that toe was so gross, but it looks real to me.
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, they 3D print that to that kind of standard and quality in look and aesthetic, because it's not just for people to actually wear that toe as part of their prosthesis. But in that regard, it's actually used for people to be able to train with surgery. So that particular toe looks gross because it's actually meant to mimic an ingrown toenail. And so surgeons will actually practice doing surgery on those realistic looking like fake toes. So that's how far we've come in terms of the aesthetic of some prosthesis.
Why would you want to mimic an ingrown toenail? That's interesting. Yeah. Wow, okay.
And I love that in the chat. Let's see, Rock Rancher brought up, like Brahe's nose. So Tycho Brahe, who was, of course, a huge figure in the evolution of astronomy and did a lot of amazing contributions to the world of astronomy. But a lot of people don't actually know that he actually lost his nose in a duel.
Yes.
And he had like a silver
match,
nose
right?
for a while. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like just went off. And and apparently they... replaced it with like he claimed it was silver, or somebody claimed it was silver, but it turns out it wasn't actually silver. But it was a nose made of some sort of metal, which I think is pretty interesting.
That's interesting.
We actually have an image here of the Egyptian toe.
Oh.
So this is kind of, so that's, I think, thousands of years ago, that's what we had in terms of aesthetic. And, it's a pretty good replica. I think it's made of like wood and leather, but, not really like you could touch it. It's not going to feel soft. Like,
of course,
just not quite right. And compare that to the really gross toe that we saw before. There's definitely, oh man, it makes me sick looking at it.
Same. I'm so into that stuff. I just think it's so cool.
Yeah. So that's the aesthetic kind of upgrade that we've had over all these years. And with new technologies, 3D printing, that's how far we've come, which I think is pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a really good question here, actually, in the chat from Henny's Vorwerp. Henny's Vorwerp, I'm going to get that right, especially because the object is interesting in Cosmos. It says, how are 3D printing and carbon affecting newer prosthetics? Are they making things cheaper or less foreign feeling to the wearer? So they actually are working right now on doing 3D printing for prosthetics, which is really cool. I mean, honestly, 3D printing is being incorporated in pretty much any industry right now, and specifically for prosthetics, it is definitely going to be used. I can actually imagine the price probably coming down for that, just because it's utilizing obviously like different types of resources. But specifically right now, what like certain companies are trying to work on is really trying to mimic not just movement of the natural human body, but also like external layers that would be mimicking skin. So one thing that the engineer Hugh Herr is working on right now with his company at MIT is actually working on the tightness and then like the more like loose areas of skin that would be coating around whatever the part is, whether it's the arm or it's the knee, and then looking to mimic also how the spine moves while we walk and be able to incorporate that into the rest of the body. So like the arm and then the legs.
We actually make finger bone-like structures.
And I believe we have a video
apparently
here, which is it's really cool. If we pull that up, we'll totally show it to you guys. And yeah,
so we actually make finger bone-like structures by using the 3D printer, and then culture the living muscle tissues in between the finger bones. And when we apply the voltage between the living tissues, they actually make a contractions so that the finger bone can move by the power of the muscle contractions.
Wow, yeah, so I think, yeah. Go
I just want to explain this one a little bit. This is a group making a biohybrid robot at the University of Tokyo, and that professor was Professor Shoji Takeuchi. And they're actually making what I would call kind of the next generation of prosthetics, where they're taking muscle cells, biological living things, and combining it with like 3D printing and that kind of technology and fusing them together to make things that respond to electrical signals, which is exactly, the same kind of electric signals going through our nerves. So if you scale that up, that kind of, what they've got is small, it kind of just goes like this, but imagine that on a larger scale attaching to, say, like the stump of an arm that's been amputated, and all you're doing is using your nerve signals to control what the prosthesis does, and it's actually made from like real muscle, so it has that same reaction that you would have been used to, when you still had your own muscles. So I think that's really cool in terms of mimicking what you were already used to and using that kind of biological memory as well.
Wow, you said that they're using real muscles. Is this part of like, is it a part of like separate growth, and they're working on actually grabbing the cells itself and then regrowing them? I don't know if I missed it, if you said that or not, or the people donating?
There was a little part in that video where it looked like kind of like a Petri dish with some pink liquid in it.
Yeah.
That was a liquid that had muscle cells inside of it, like floating around. And then what they did is they put the 3D printed parts, like a scaffold, I guess, into the solution, and the muscle cells stuck to it and started growing on it and formed into a big long fiber because the scaffold was in the shape of like a big long fiber. And so they just followed that shape and they made the big fiber, and there was a wire at either end. And when they sent the electrical signal down the wire, the muscle cells reacted and they contracted and expanded, and that's how it could like make the thing tick back and forth.
That's awesome. As cool as that is, I have to agree with Smash H. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm so sorry. It has 2 zeros in it. I don't want squishy meat muscles. Give me hydraulics.
Yeah,
I
think that's an interesting comment. I mean,
like what we were
obviously,
talking about
it's
earlier.
kind of silly, but you know what? You see, like, especially in movies, like, you know, when they're portraying those who have lost limbs, they often replace them not with just something that looks like your arm or leg, but like look at Winter Soldier, for instance. Like, they gave him a full-blown metal arm that he can like go and do a lot of damage with. And then also we brought up before the show officially started, Rose McGowan in the Planet Terror movie. She had her leg amputated and they replaced it with this like super cool machine gun. Now, again, obviously, like, these are Hollywood, very kind of fanatical examples, but it kind of goes back to show you that we're increasing the functionality of these limbs, but I mean, what if we go beyond just the basic functionality? It's like, oh, you know, I'm getting a new arm. Not only does it act like a normal arm would, but hey, it can also rotate 360 degrees and it can withstand, you know, thousands of degrees in temperature.
Like Robonauts, 360-degree arm.
Oh, you need a lighter? Here, and then you get a little flame coming, you know.
Come out. I would totally want to be like a cyborg if that were to happen.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, mostly cyborg.
Yeah, and actually Destructor 1701, sorry, I'm just loving all these comments right now. I have to push to these. So these things plus Boston Dynamics plus AI research equals eventual Westworld.
Still need to watch that show.
Yeah, it's
I think Dave has a really, really good point though, like about you know, when we design these devices, do we design them to the specifications of what we had before, the amount of functionality, or do we go beyond that? Do we increase our potential? For example, let's have a look at things like in racing, like people that have amputated legs, and you've got the blades, like Blade Runner. So I did some research on this, and the Rice University studied Oscar Pistorius's blades, and they used 17% less energy than that of elite sprinters on intact limbs. And it took 21% less time for him to reposition and swing his legs back and forth between strides. But then I guess, does that translate into increased performance, you know, in the actual competition? Well, not necessarily, because Usain Bolt's 200-meter time, best 200-meter time, is 19.19 seconds. And the record for the T44 class of Paralympics in 200 meters is 21.06 seconds, so slightly slower. And that was set by a New Zealander, Liam Malone, and he runs on 2 blades. And you can see him in this image here. So scientifically, with biophysics, it seems like these prosthetics are giving people an advantage, although when you actually look at the data of like actual races, it maybe not. But who knows, you know, what if these prosthetic devices get even more enhanced with more study into biophysics and how to transfer the energy from the prosthetic itself to the ground and back to make people sprint faster? Like, where do we draw the line? Do we keep making these devices better and better and giving people an advantage? But then what about people that don't have that advantage? Like, where do we draw the ethical line?
Well, in terms, I think it would definitely be on an individual case-by-case basis, because let's say you get into a horrific accident and you do lose, like, you know, your leg below the knee, and it's like, okay, well, let's say it's some time in the future, it's like, okay, you have the option. We can give you, like, our standard human-looking limb, or you can get this, like, you know, again, I think it's very case-by-case, but you raise an interesting point that in the evolution of the technology, if it gets so advanced and just so kind of complex, what if I see it merging into kind of the aesthetic surgery, like you had brought up, like plastic surgery, in terms of like, well, my arm's fine, it functions, but maybe you can install like a new sensor in here. I want one of those fancy lighter arms, you know, sometime in the future. And of course, it's a little extreme. But then again, things like nose jobs and things that seem pretty routine these days, those used to seem extreme. But, you know, again, with the advancements in medical technology and just kind of society accepting it in general, I mean, goodness knows what we could be capable of in terms of, I guess, upgrading our bodies.
Yeah, totally.
There's a really good comment from Hannes Worsworth again in Twitch. Do you think there's a trend of prosthetics becoming more real or less realistic but more usable? And I want to put that question out to the chat room as well. What would you prefer? Something more realistic, you know, like 3D printed, like that toe that we saw, or something more usable, like in the form of like a blade for running that could make you run really, really fast? Like, where do you think we should go with that? Realism or functionality or both?
I think it's good to have both because, again, what you were saying, it's a person-by-person basis, and I feel like there will be some people that are going to want really just more functionality. Maybe some people will want to be like, somehow gain more what we would see as superpowers because it's just not so human. And some people will say, I just want to be normal again. I just want to look normal again. Like, I want to have my legs. I want to have my toes. I want to just, be fine. But I think that there's some people who, with me personally, and then a lot of other people that are out there working towards, like with Hugh Herr, for instance, he's literally referred to as the biomechanitronic man. And he's really focused on usability. He was able to go mountain climbing again because he's been able to incorporate and interchange his feet. Like, he's been able to put different plates of feet on that have claws all along the outside of the feet, not just where the toes are, but along the heel and everything, to then be able to go rock climbing and be able to do that again and more advanced than he was able to earlier. So I think that it really would be kind of just a person-by-person basis, but I think it's a really good idea to do both. And as far as drawing a line, to be honest, I think that it's just as long as we, as long as we have both, then we will still be able to obviously hold on to still that human aspect. Because otherwise, I think that incorporating AI, incorporating electronics into our bodies, it's still going to have that functionality, but it's going to be able to advance us more. And I think that that's what's really incredible. It's about what are the next steps in our own personal evolution as human beings.
And Destructor 1701 actually sums it up quite eloquently, saying there's a tipping point when prostheses stop being a compensation for lost capacity and start being a desirable augmentation or replacement for existing capability. Very well said. And like you said, like, we're already kind of incorporating electronics into our bodies as it is with, I'm sorry I keep bringing up the comic book references, but look at Iron Man.
I love it.
And, what they had to install in his heart. But, we have all sorts of kind of biomechanical things that, help people live and exist and thrive on a daily basis. So you're right. It's like the next step of evolution. Like, we have things that enable your heart to beat so that you can live, but do we have things that will enable your heart to beat forever so that you can live past 120 or 130,
Yeah. I saw also a really good comment from Sparker off of YouTube. They asked, all current robotic prosthesis, sorry about that, prosthesis, I think it's supposed to be an S there, take energy from an accumulator. I am wondering if it's possible to interface the prosthesis with the body to make it operate on natural organisms' energy. Any ideas? And again, I know I keep referring back to Hugh Herr, but again, I was watching his TED Talk this morning, and it was incredible because what Lisa, you were mentioning earlier about the nervous system, they're looking at ways that we can actually be able to full-on operate these external parts that are, going to become part of us. That's the whole point, is not to have it be such an external thing. It's supposed to be really united with our actual physical body. And so they're looking actually at incorporating energy that's generated through our body naturally, and like our static electricity and our nervous system, and be able to generate that into the prosthetics themselves. So to answer your question, I believe they are looking into that, from at least what I've been hearing and reading so far up on this. Yes, like that's full on something that the whole purpose is not to be able to, as great as machines are, they have to be recharged. They have to be plugged into a wall, whatever it is. And being human, we don't have to do that. We have to sleep. But I think that having prosthetics, the whole purpose is to have them be able to run on the own human natural energy. So that's definitely something being worked on right now, and obviously being evolutionized into the next steps. So more human than human. Johnny Spacer.
I had to. I mean, it's Rob Zombie, and my heart fluttered, so that was nice.
I love it. That's.
Yeah, I guess we're curious about, if you're watching this on demand, we want to know what you think. Where do you think prosthetics should go? Should we keep on improving them? Should we integrate them with the body system so that they run off our own energy and the glucose that's in our blood? Like, where do you imagine them going in the next 5-10 years? Are we going to look back at this episode today with like our bionic eye that can see ultraviolet and my bionic arm that has the power to crush you with my hand, and just laugh at this episode? Where do you think this is going to go? We've got people in Japan, University of Tokyo, that are combining muscle cells with 3D printed parts and electricity and controlling them that way. Are we going to go down that path? Are we going to just have designer bodies where we can 3D print? Oh, I don't like the way my legs look. I'm going to 3D print myself a thinner leg. Where is this going to go?
That would be really
Leave your
interesting. Yeah, let us know, guys.
Absolutely. And yeah, you brought another good point up in terms of, I mean, just materials engineering in general has advanced so much in the past decade. And what we're able to 3D print these days with like, I mean, the newest level of Ultimaker is like insane. And it's actually being used to 3D print different prosthetics and using not only materials that are more human-like, but that are lighter. Because I just read right now, and it brought up a good point, a problem that a lot of lower limb amputees have to face is the fact that it takes a big toll on their skeleton when you have to kind of lean on that prosthetic, and they often have to go through hip replacements as a result. So making, potentially engineering either the structure or the material to make it less taxing on the overall body as a system. Because, I mean, while it's super exciting to think about all of the cool, crazy directions we can take this, there's still, I think, a lot of fundamental issues that are still kind of being worked on to this day. But it's come so far,
Yeah.
thank goodness. Since the old days of the Civil War, when prosthetics were definitely starting to take shape.
Yeah, that's when they really started to like evolutionize. Was after the
Absolutely.
2 world wars,
Mhm.
just because there was such a massive
So much
amount of
carnage.
people losing limbs. There's a really good question here from Johnny Spacer. It says, "Would you cut off a perfectly good arm for an upgrade?" I literally asked that question when I was reading
thinking
this.
that. I was like, oh god.
What are your guys' answers? I'm curious.
Maybe not an arm, maybe a finger, maybe a couple fingers. But I don't know about a whole arm, because then it'd be working out would be weird though,
I don't think I would be one of the first people to do it, but if it was like a certain thing, then yeah. But otherwise, I mean, why fix something that's not broken, right? In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I was like contemplating eyeballs earlier because like I have really, really bad vision. And I was thinking about, wow, like imagine, like you were saying, Lisa, being able to see all the other like wavelengths of light in the light spectrum.
Like
that
that'd
would
be overwhelming, though.
Incredible. Oh, it would be so overwhelming.
You'd be bombarded with just so
But
many
if you can interchange it constantly, you could be like,
sensory
now I want to see
overload.
X-ray, now I want to see ultraviolet, now it's like,
Now
you
that
know.
can get into some privacy issues, though. Like I'm
Well,
looking at
wait,
you in
that's
X-ray
true.
right now.
Wait, that's really true. Plus, too, like as great as it is, again, the body has to compensate for those external limbs, whatever it is. So even if we do eventually start doing eyes one day, how is input taking in ultraviolet rays going to affect our brain? It's like that really can be affecting things that are on the back end behind the eyeball.
Exactly.
And that can like totally fry up our nerves, like possibly, and because it's obviously entering it on the inside as opposed to on the outside, and sitting out in the sun and stuff. But yeah, so that was definitely interesting. I wonder if you guys would in the chat would do anything like that as far as testing out a new prosthetic limb or something on your body. But again, there's still that compensation you have to realize that the body has to make up for. If you take a leg off, your whole spine is going to be shifted. And for someone who has both scoliosis and arthritis, it's not fun. You guys don't want to deal with that. But yeah, so that's really...
I mean, I think Jared Head kind of puts it all together pretty nicely, saying, "Call me weird, but I just want to be a full-blown robot already." Is that right, Jared? I like your human self, your soft human self.
I'm tired of my sinuses.
Then get a new respiratory system. Duh.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But yeah, so
I think one last thing I want to add before we go to break. We did talk about having eyes that can see like ultraviolet and stuff. At the moment, people are working on bionic eyes. Where they're at the moment is that they're an array of probes. So, multiple different probes in a formation, usually kind of a square or rectangle formation of probes that get inserted on top of the brain and can stimulate different regions of the brain. And the different number of probes correlates to the number of pixels of light or dark that they can stimulate in that person's vision if they've gone blind. And so each time they improve this technology, they get better and better, they make more and more pixels, but they're still nowhere kind of close to being able to kind of represent like human shapes with the number of pixels that you have. It's like, not even the quality of like games back in like the 1980s number of pixels. Like it's still very, very far off from being something kind of realistic. But people are working on bionic eyes, and I think it's a fascinating area of research that I would love to do a way more in-depth kind of science pod or roundtable discussion on in the future, because what they're doing is really, really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I still want to talk about more because there's so many good things in the chat right now. But yeah, there's just one awesome thing that I have to bring this up. It's from Mr. BFR. It says, "What would such prosthetics do to the lifespan, tending to immortality?" And I mean, I personally feel like, again, like the body, you'd have to constantly be exercising, because if you have prosthetic legs that don't need to be exercised, the rest of your body might actually start to get really, if it's not exercising as much, it gets really reliant on the legs. So I feel like it might actually shorten the lifetime. That's my opinion. I wonder if it would actually shorten the lifetime because your body would become more reliant on the prosthetics, which actually have essentially much longer lifetime than us. Not an indefinite lifetime as everything breaks down. But I wonder about that. And that was a cool pondering question. I just wanted to give some light to. It's a good question, Mr. BFR. But yeah, so that's
Nice.
what I would think.
Wow.
This was a really awesome conversation.
Yeah, I was going to
like
say,
prosthetics.
I wasn't expecting to get so kind of sucked into the world of prosthetics, and not even just like the fascinating history, but I had no idea that all of these advancements were being made, and all of these like kind of theoretical ideas were being thrown around in terms of what could potentially happen down the road. So yeah, absolutely. It's exciting. Yeah, maybe you'll see me in 20 years with like a sick new arm, be like, hey guys, remember when we talked about prosthetics? Yeah.
360.
Look at me now. All right. So thank you so much for tuning into that conversation with us. Again, please leave a comment. Where do you think the world of prosthetics are going to go? What issues do you think we have now in the realm of prosthetics that we need to address before we start thinking about those crazy advancements we were mentioning? Please leave a comment below, and who knows, we'll probably talk about it in the next show. Speaking of comments, we are going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we will be addressing your comments from the last episode. So stay tuned.
Science. It both draws us together and tears us apart. Brings discoveries to cure us and threaten us. It is neither good nor evil. It is what we decide to make of it. There is so much more to learn, and we are curious. Together, let's explore the science of tomorrow.
Hello again. Welcome back. Before we delve into comments from the last show, we want to give a nice little thank you to our escape velocity citizens, as well as our orbital citizens, and of course, our suborbital citizens. These folks contribute $2.50 an episode, or $5 a month. Every bit helps, and again, we would not exist if it wasn't for you. So please, if you would like to become a citizen of tomorrow and contribute to our existence, head on over to patreon.com/TMRO. All right, so getting into comments from the last show, which was a whole month ago, we actually got to interview Dr. Helena Braga, who's developing solid-state batteries, which was a very fascinating interview, and a lot to come from the evolution of batteries. So the first comment we have is from Ivailo Ivanov from YouTube. And actually, this comment refers to the show in general, saying, it will be great to have a science audience that is not part of Tomorrow Space. Invite other science YouTubers like Veritasium as guests to get more subscribers. Boy, wouldn't that be fun.
That would be awesome.
I'd be so fangirly, though. I'd just be like, hi. Like, I don't know. That is a great idea, though. That's a splendid idea.
I feel like a lot of experimentations would happen as far as like building stuff, and we probably have to go outside.
Turn into the White Rabbit Project real quick.
Yeah, because like rule number
No
one,
fire
I think
in
is
the
no
studio.
explosions.
Yeah, no fire.
Yeah. No fire.
You still blow things up, though.
I would love to get Derek from Veritasium on, not so that we can get more subscribers, but just because he's really cool.
Exactly.
The whole point of this show is, like, we're not here just to get subscribers. We're here to have cool conversations about cool science and cool topics. So, like, having more subscribers is nice, but that's not why we're here. We're here to have fun and geek out about
Exactly.
science. So
And
that's why having Derek is cool.
Absolutely, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. We're not just, we're not doing this purely for numbers. Obviously, we're doing it from our hearts. But I think another point they were kind of trying to bring up is that, we because we already have such an amazing audience and that you guys are so great in terms of how we interact, just broadening that and being able to like have more, people that we can have these conversations with. And I mean, Hank Green, if you're listening, man, we got a seat for you. I'll give you my seat. That'd be stoked. I mean, I'd be so excited because I mean, it was Hank Green's show, the Sci Show, that actually really got me into science communications. Because if you've never seen his show, it's just like, you too, Kyle Hill. Because science is a splendid show. Well, great comment. Moving on to Joseph Habdank on YouTube, they commented, I love the content. There is a real vacuum on YouTube for a deep science show. There's plenty of popular science shows giving short bites, but none of that goes deep. Amazing. You guys could work a bit more on the flow to prepare stories a bit better, but nonetheless a great show. I love you. Bring in people of science, not just journalists. That's awesome. Thank you. And I love it when criticism can be constructive because, yes, I mean, it's not easy, but we try. We're working harder every day.
We make good eye contact with each other and the camera and the hologram.
Yeah, but thank you.
Try and predict each other's cues.
I really like the point they raised there about having, the real scientists on, not just science journalists. I think that's what kind of sets us apart. Or that's what we really wanted to focus on, like having Dr. Helena Braga and having Guy Trudel the month before that. It's all about, or at least for me, bringing on guests that actually do the actual science. So you can ask the questions that you want to ask of the scientists of what it's like to work in the lab or what it's like to do that research. Or how does this research affect this? Like, we're opening the laboratories up to you guys so that you can ask them these questions.
Yeah, I really love that. A lot of people I've been meeting recently, scientists that are doing incredible things or starting up companies, they're like, come check out my stuff. It's like, it's just so great because there's so many amazing things going and it's their baby. It's the stuff they're working on. So I love that we're able to always bring on those people and interview them and ask them about what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Thanks for the comment.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. Alexander Dearden on YouTube says, all right, this is a little bit of a long one. I really like the content, but there is a but. You guys really should rehearse. It just sounds like you guys are reading stuff out for the first time and that you haven't got any understanding of the science you're reporting on. Sure, I don't expect you to know everything in depth, but it would be nice for you to sound like it's not just reading off a page and perhaps rehearse some better comments other than, yay, go phosphor. I really think you're onto something, reporting on the real in-depth science. There is definitely a niche, and I'm really glad you guys have diversified. I'm so bored of dumbed-down science, so 10 out of 10 for content, 3 out of 10 for presentation. Oh, one last thing. You guys do an amazing job of bringing in a presenter that isn't in the studio. That is genius. Just get the Lassa lapel mic so she doesn't sound... Oh, wait, hold on. Just get the Lassa lapel mic so she doesn't sound like she's in a bathroom. I assumed because you said that.
We fixed that. Hopefully, I don't sound like potato this week, right? So we fixed that. So this is why your comments are important, because even if they are something to improve on, we read them, we listen to them, and we act on them. And so, that's why I wanted to bring this comment into the show, to show that we take our criticism on board, and we're always trying to improve.
We take it serious.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Totally.
And like they mentioned, it does sound like we're reading off stuff because sometimes we
falling
are.
guilty for
but
that.
one thing that Dad, aka Ben, always tries to encourage us is just make it sound like a conversation. He always encourages us to really just, talk about it like you're talking to your friend about it. He doesn't like scripts, so, thanks, Dad, for that pointer.
Yeah.
Dad, wherever Dad is. All right. Yeah, no, but thank you. I mean, as much as I was kind of reading that off in a silly way, again, we really do appreciate the constructive criticism, and we appreciate how much time and thought you put into it. So
go phosphor.
Go phosphor.
Love that. I was
okay,
I literally have fallen victim to that. I'll just cheer on whatever thing we're talking about.
I think it's kind of the beauty of being a live show, especially because, it's a little, I don't think I could say ballsy. It's a little ambitious. To delve into some of these topics that are a little bit more complex. And so you get to experience the amazing awkwardness that accompanies not exactly knowing what you're going to say next. Goodness knows it happens to me in the real life all the time. So
Yeah, definitely. But that's why I love that we have a live chat, because we get to constantly talk to you guys.
Yeah.
So that always makes things feel a little more fun.
All right. Okay, so next comment from Charlie Fox, YouTube, says, great show. Loving the different subjects. Hoping you'll get more shows per month sooner rather than later. But as an avid TMRO observer, I sense the some amount of work goes into the shows and growing takes time. I would love to see a periodic update on storage of this. I would love to see a periodic update on storage, as this area of manufacturing and research is going to change the electric grid very fast in the next 10 years.
I love how you just totally changed voices.
Well, because I feel like it's like the comment was two different subjects, and so I was.
Totally.
There you go. There's that live element there for you.
Exactly.
We're perfect.
Yay.
Just kidding.
A periodic
I think
update.
we'll get to one show. Like, first of all, we'll probably do is one show every 2 weeks, and then eventually one show every week. But right now, I don't think we're in a position, time management wise, and people resource wise, to be able to make that change. And potentially, when more of us move from overseas to the US, that might change as well. So stay tuned, and you should see more Tomorrow Science, by at least the end of the year.
Yeah, and Detta, I think that's exactly what it was. Electrical storage, I think, is what he was referring to. I was trying to figure that out too. I was like, wait, update on storage is the area of manufacturing, because then it says electrical grid very fast in the next 10 years. So the first thing I had to just picture was us in 10 years doing the show. I was like, oh man,
jeez.
My hair will be falling out. I'm just kidding.
I'm like, I don't want to imagine myself.
Some prosthetics. We don't need cranes. We'll have prosthetics. Yeah.
I want to get a bionic face. Sorry, we're going back to that. All right, I'm done. I thought about it though. I think getting a bionic face would be kind of cool. Just half. But like my bad half. My good half will stay. Oh, stop. Well, the good half's blushing now, so thank you. All right. So the next comment that we are actually going to close out with is from Leland Rogers on YouTube. Says, love the t-shirt, one of my favorites. And just so you know, what the shirt said was, there are two kinds of people in this world. Those who can extrapolate from incomplete data. Yep. Get it? Get it? Ha, thank you.
Wait, hold on. Why don't I get this?
Oh.
There are two kinds of people.
It was the shirt that.
Just give it a second.
It was the shirt that Sarah was wearing in last month's show.
Oh, Sarah, that's right.
Oh, okay,
Do you get it? Those who can extrapolate from here. Hold on this way. There are two types of people in this world: those who can read incomplete statements and know what they mean, or.
Okay, I get it. Okay, I get it now. That was an incomplete statement. Okay.
But you can sense where I was going.
And I can sense where it's going. And then those who don't get it will be the ones who are silently awkward like I was. Okay, I get it now.
See, I love those shirts that make you think
gosh.
and then giggle as a result.
More coffee for Athena. No, definitely not more coffee. That's awesome. I like that. I want that shirt
More
now.
coffee for Athena. And then Mr. BFR says, dad joke. But we all know, I think it's one of the rules of the universe that dad jokes are the best jokes. So, it is what it is.
I feel like cat jokes are the best jokes, but okay. I like cats.
Now, cat dad
Can I bring
jokes.
A cat?
All right, so with that being said, that concludes the comment section from last month's show. Thank you so much for leaving those awesome comments. Again, if you want to be featured or have the chance to be featured in our next episode, drop some comments. We have plenty to talk about. Keep it nice, keep it PG-13, and we will go ahead and check them out. So before we sign off, we do want to give one final shout out to our ground support citizens. These people contribute $1 an episode or $1 a month. Every bit helps. And again, we would not be able to make these shows if it weren't for you. So if you would like to become a citizen of tomorrow, head on over to patreon.com/TMRO. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will go ahead and see you next month. Bye.
And also next month we have Alex Canaria.
I'm so sorry. I knew I was forgetting something. I got two. I'm sorry. Okay. And next month, we're actually going to be joined. Next month, we'll have Alex Moss from Canaria Technologies, and she's actually going to talk about wearable fatigue monitoring tech that can help both astronauts and industrial workers on Earth. So that'll be a fascinating conversation. And I'm sure that we'll actually probably reference this roundtable discussion quite a bit during that as well, because I can see some tie over already. So thanks again for joining us and being a part of the conversation, and we will see you next month. You're going to edit that, right?
Oh, this show.
I really hope that doesn't exist ever.
Oh my God. Oh.
That's like super, a lot of
Hi,
awkward
Dad.
happening.
Hi, Pops.
Oh my goodness. Amazing. I need to eat. I'm so hungry.
Wait, what time is it?
Coffee.
Oh, it's like now 9 o'clock.
In the morning?
I'm going to sit because that's what I'm going to do. So, hey guys, how you doing?
Oh my.
I like tartar sauce. That was great. Yes. I actually saw a shirt that had that. It was a picture of flat earth, and then it had a cat pushing stuff off. And it said that if the earth was actually flat, cats would have pushed everything off by now. Oh, I love cats.
I want.
I really gotta get a cat and bring it. Can I bring a cat? If I get one, can I bring it?
Cyborg cat.
No, it'll be my cat. It'll be so disciplined.
It'll just like walk past and all the cameras just fall down like one by one.
It doesn't even touch him. The cameras just like
Yeah, that's what I'm
explode and
thinking.
tip over.
Fire.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fire everywhere. The whole set just crumbles
And
before
yet,
it.
like, it
this
walks
big.
unmarked, unscathed.
Yeah. It'll just be sitting in the corner, like licking its paw, like doesn't know what's happening.
Looking at us so condescendingly.
This is why we need a cat
Laser cat.
tomorrow.
We do need a cat.
I want a cat.
tomorrow.
It's a cat, like you would care.
Did you clip your microphone with like a paper clip? What is that? I saw that. And I was like,
No.
Is it
I'm
adding
eating
that ice cream? What is
It's
that?
chocolate. I used like one of those like bulletin thingies. I just like ran out to the office.
Nice. Innovative. Who needs a lavalier mic when you can have that? I gotta totally do
Well, I have this most amazing mic over here. I have this thing. Oh, it's not gonna show it. Oh, I have this. Oh, I'm gonna break it. This
that's
mic.
fancy.
I can't use it
Oh,
though because I can't
wow.
get it into my computer. So, I know that's a Ben question. But whatever. Doesn't matter. I won't be here next month. Oh, spoilers.
Spoilers.
You didn't hear
Why
that.
would you be here? I guess I don't know if you
I'll tell you guys later.
Okay, sounds good. Is it because of cats? I really want to get a cat for the show. Should be a cat.
I really want. Can we seriously get a cat? Can we make that happen?
Yeah.
Ben, make that.
Please.
Only if it has to either like it has to be.
No, because you're not going to take care of it, and then I'm going to have to take care of it.
I would bring it with me
Dude,
every
it
Saturday.
has to have an underbite. We're only getting a cat if it has an underbite and looks like.
No, ew.
What do you mean, ew? It's beautiful. Look at that.
Are you crazy?
No, you're crazy.
A cat with an
Look at how freaking adorable that is.
That is adorable.
Thank
That's
you.
not adorable.
Can we?
Scary looking.
And
Can you add it to the
adopt
chat?
those cats.
Cat with underbite.
Thank you. Cats with special. Not that this is a special need.
If
but
there was
cats with special
an
needs.
adopted, yeah.
You just have to name it Steven.
Steven with a PH. Steven.
There's a cat cafe in West Hollywood I need to go to.
I've been there.
What?
I went there for Valentine's Day last year.
You go and you drink coffee and hang out with cats and they crawl all over you.
Ridiculously expensive.
Isn't it like $15?
Well, we went on a special kitten day.
Because you went on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it
I
was
would
like
so do that. It's so romantic.
They
The cat to
normally
me.
have. Well, the cats don't really want anything to do with you though. That's the thing. It's like you pay for cats to ignore
Can't you
you,
adopt
which is
them
kind of
too?
cool. Yeah. They're all adoptable.
I would
Yeah, that's,
totally
you
go.
just described cats.
But there's
Yes.
a dog cafe. Have you been there?
Yeah,
haven't done
no,
that.
but I assume it's the opposite of the cat cafe where they are like,
All
oh
over
my
you.
God, you're amazing! Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
They're definitely like that. The cats probably hate all the humans that come in.
Yeah,
just
cats are more
like,
like, you're in my space, leave.
Like, get out. Yeah.
I don't have time for you.
I love cats.
Dog cafe have a husky stay?
Oh, no.
Yeah, we could have a
That's
husky
crazy.
tomorrow. But
Yes.
the deal is, I'm not going to take care of the husky, so,
I got a
yeah.
big backyard, but I have a garden.
Like, they can shed everywhere, though. Have you ever heard a husky, like howl?
An awoo? Yeah, if you follow me on Twitter, you will see like
Just like
lots
an
of
abundance.
husky puppies awooing everywhere because I retweet it from Husky Heaven all the time. Yeah.
That would drive
Have you
me
seen that
crazy.
little husky puppy that's like, ow, it doesn't really know what
I
howling
can't
is
stand
yet?
that, yeah.
And it was like, ow, ow.
It's trying, but it can't quite figure out how to do it yet.
And it sounds like a whiny kid. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I watch these things and I'm like, oh, that's amazing and cute. And Carrie Ann's like, turn that off now.
If you like whiny kids, I've got a job for you.
I'm in.
Okay, I'm looking for the husky pictures now.
I myself am a
Oh
whiny
my
kid.
gosh. Baby huskies in a bowl.
Oh.
Seriously, let's make this happen.
So I had a question for the chat room. By the way, I'm on Commander if I'm... Oh, yeah, okay, cool. I don't have ears, so I have no idea. So I have a question for the chat room, which is, we generally know where to post the space shows, right? We have Reddit channels we can post it to when it's appropriate. We kind of, do some cross-pollination whenever we can. But the science shows, I'm not entirely sure where to post, because a lot of the Reddit science communities are like, no videos, original content only, must be backed by paper. And so it's definitely not this show. So
Put it.
I can't hear what Lisa's saying,
What'd
unfortunately.
you say, Lisa?
I said I had the same issue. I was trying to promote the show. I didn't know where to post the show because they were all like, "You can't post your videos here," and I was sad.
Yeah, right. So everywhere I go, at least everywhere I've been looking at online to be like, hey, we've got this neat science show. Maybe you would like to help contribute. Maybe you would help to maybe you would enjoy the content. I'm having a really hard time finding places that would actually accept it because, and I don't know what happened to the science community, but it is very rah, us only, outsiders stay out. And so, we are the opposite of that.
Ban the normies.
This just sounds like the Illuminati confirms.
It was kind of. So, if anyone has any ideas as to
like where to put the scipods?
Well, not even that.
Or even just all sci stuff.
Just all of our science stuff. Like where on Reddit should we be posting this, where people would be interested and it wouldn't be noise? Where else on the internet can we be posting the shows and be like, hey, here's something that you may find interesting. Check it out. See if you like it. Where again, it's not noise in their face. Where it doesn't feel like, why are you posting this here? This doesn't belong here. So, Reddit/r/science, that is not a viable place. There's science news, also not a viable place. So I'm just trying to find those things. So if anyone in the chat room has ideas as to where we can post the show or get a little bit
science channels?
IRC Science Channels is an interesting idea.
I'm looking up.
But yeah.
Someone wrote that. On YouTube, I would like separate channels for live stream space and After Dark and science.
So Tommy, actually, we purposely don't do that. We break out After Dark obviously on purpose because it doesn't.
Oh, you have it right there. I'm like, how'd you know it's Tommy? I was like, I never
Right,
said his name. Okay.
My God!
I was like, is he psychic? Where is he seeing this?
Right. So. How did Daddy even see that?
That's literally what I thought.
Just like an actual parent. My God.
He's got eyes in the back of his head.
We don't break the science and space shows out, and when we move to it, tech shows either, because all of these are designed to point back to space, and if I have an individual channel just for science, I have to start over from scratch. We have to find all new subscribers from scratch. It's just this whole thing that you have to start over with. You don't get the search results anymore. So there's a huge benefit in having space, science, tech, and anything else that we have all on one cohesive channel and then broke it out into playlists so that you can go, all right, I don't care about the space stuff. I only want to see science, so I'll click on the science playlist and only see the science stuff. But it's still under that one account, so all the shows get the benefit of having the total viewership, blah, 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 blah. So it's the all ships rise with the tide kind of mentality. Anyhow, that's why we're doing it that way. There are long debates as to whether that was the right or wrong call, but that's what we're opting with for now, and it seems to be generally working.
Can you change your preferences so that you only get notifications when a playlist is edited?
He said words, I couldn't hear him.
Oh.
Put your ear back in, Ben. For Pete's sake.
No.
I wish we could show what just happened right now.
I know. All the good stuff's happening back there.
This is why we need our Data camera back.
had a Dedicam?
We had one for.
That would be
like
awesome.
a GoPro, or
like to see what he's doing
a
back
front
there.
pro.
A fisheye lens.
All right, keep on posting. It's a Raj Luthor is saying keep posting on YouTube, social media like Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Those are good places. If it ain't broke, don't fix
That's
it.
what we do.
Just kidding. I know.
We do that.
Yes, we do that.
So Wicked's comment is pretty funny, and I feel like somewhat spot on, which is if you can't GIF it, which you can't, there won't be an active place on Reddit for the show. Burn!
It's the truth.
That's why I need to light my hands on fire in the studio so we can make it into a GIF and then put it on Reddit. And I know you can't hear me, Ben, but you should put your ears in because you're missing out on good stuff.
Wow, she really she definitely. I've never heard such fire be
You'll
spat.
have to look back on what was
Like, it's hot in here because of that fire, and she's in New Zealand or Australia or somewhere. So.
Well, whatever she says is probably wrong.
So supportive.
You got the biggest open mouth I've ever seen from her.
There's plenty of GIFable moments on this show. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? Like, if you really go through and watch every second, like, there's plenty of GIFable.
Actually, Athena, I think you have in fact done that before.
I should just keep making them.
I feel
I'm
like
gonna
that
do
happens
that.
on your Instagram once in a while, where you're just stories of us making like weird hand gestures on camera. Yeah,
I'm gonna continue making those.
Zoltan.
Zappan.
it's Zappan.
Dang.
I think I did mine backwards.
Dude, where's my car?
Yeah.
Dude.
There's so many good moments on this show. I love it. Yay!
Yeah, and I'd like to make the show, put it in front of a slightly bigger audience. It's important to me that we grow the audience in the correct way, and not just try to. I don't want to grow it in the wrong way, where we start getting the type of person who just comes in and wants to create chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So.
Like the cat.
Like the cat, yes. Yes, exactly. Walking into the room and just shoving things off of the set.
Got it now, Jade.
I don't think
Monster Truck now.
its name is Princess Monster Truck.
Wait, what? A cat?
The
A cat with the underbite?
The cat with the underbite.
Is that
His name
is that what
Princess
happens?
Monster Truck.
Oh, it's so perfect.
We have to get it. I want to get an astronaut costume. Oh my god.
I'm gonna cry.
We're doing this.
It's just, and it's like, not only is it an underbite, it's a crooked one. So it's like.
It's amazing. Wait, did someone send that in the chat?
No, just Jared. In
Oh my gosh.
Very
Can we
crafty
send that to the
searching
chat?
skills.
Someone sent the picture of a husky sleeping.
Team Brain Bites on Twitch sounds interesting. It's a bunch of science Twitch streamers. Yeah, I mean
Yeah, I love
that
that
seems
too.
like it's right up our alley. Actually, that seems
Brain bites.
that seems good.
This is interesting. Wait,
That sounds
I've
really
never
cool.
done this. I've never done this before.
Hey, Ben, have you heard from the person that we were going to get to do a segment to replace the second outbreak in science? Can someone relay that to Ben?
Have you heard from the person that was supposed to be? What did she say, Iris?
Second outbreak in science?
That you were supposed to have for science? But don't know if you have for science?
It's a coffee.
What is going on?
The second outbreak? The space weather lady.
The space weather lady.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that wasn't for science.
Sorry, space.
Oh, wasn't it? Oh, I'm just going to steal her anyway.
Princess Monster Truck has her own clothing line.
This thing is amazing.
I'm looking. I'm on her Instagram right now.
This is so good.
Do you see the pictures where she's like kind of shaved and it looks like she's wearing boots?
Oh my gosh.
Look at that. Oh.
I love that they just threw a dog in just to like put in a dog.
She looks so metal.
It's like
It looks like there's like the devil horns like as teeth. Yeah, I like that one.
This is not bad.
I am going to buy this
Okay, hold on.
and wear this
Do you
on
want to
the
get?
show.
Do you want to get matching?
God.
Oh, that's the one. Let's get
I
matching.
want to buy it. Wait, can I match you guys too? Can we be triplets?
Wait, what are you guys matching? I want one.
Underbite
look up-
cat
look up-
shirts.
no,
This
look up
show devolved
Princess
quickly.
Monster Truck. I'm gonna name my
this
first
is so
daughter
good.
that Princess Monster Truck. I'm gonna
Hey,
call
at
her
least, we're not
PMT
talking
for
about
short.
Disney, so no one's going to get mad at us, right?
What about Disney and Mad?
No, everyone gets mad when we talk about Disney and After Dark.
Well, now we're
Really?
talking about cool cats with thunder bites. So
I mean,
you know
guys, I mean, guys, look at this cat. It's just amazing. A cat named Chaos. I think that's pretty cute. Ooh, that should be a playwright or something. Okay, yes.
Oh, they got these cool sweaters, little pullovers. I love that they made the shirts so like epic looking too. Like it looks so it looks like an old Black Sabbath like album cover.
Oh my gosh.
So back onto actual show things instead of cat overbites.
Underbite.
I'm sorry, underbite. Excuse me.
An overbite would be stupid, Ben. Nobody would go for that.
Husky, yeah, exactly.
I have an overbite. That's
Helldesk had an interesting comment, and actually I think this is something that everyone can help with. It doesn't have to just be us, but just trying to get a Twitter science person to watch a show and tweet about it, getting attention from their audience. So if you happen to know, first off, if you're watching the show, if you wouldn't mind tweeting it like #TomorrowScience, that would be awesome. And if you know someone in the science community that maybe has a little bit of a following you think would actually enjoy the show, maybe reach out to them. It doesn't just have to come from us. It can come from anyone. And actually, some of the best guests we've had on the show have come from the community reaching out to people like Tori Bruno and being like, why aren't you on the show yet? And then they finally come on the show.
Good point.
Yes.
Yeah, them shout outs.
Hashtag community power.
Hashtag.
I love that.
Hashtag.
So great.
Hashtag. Spread the word.
Hashtag spread the word.
Tweeted at Neil
Hashtag
deGrasse
cat.
Tyson. I don't think. Maybe this might be. I can't tell. This either might be like right up his alley, or he might be like, "What the hell is this?" I can't.
Your stars. Your stars are unrealistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we would just get a stream of corrections, is what we actually, that might be kind of awesome,
hilarious.
actually.
That would be very cool.
We should just have a ticker on the bottom.
An episode where all of our credibility goes out the window because everything we say is literally going to be wrong in some way.
I'm going to tweet a picture I just took.
I mean, I remember the idea was getting tossed around like a month or so ago, but like doing the show live from like one of those space-themed brewers.
Yeah, brewery. Tom Brokaw's brewery. Is it
Oh,
brewery?
what was the name of that brewery again?
I don't understand what's going on.
Brewery.
As long as I have...
I'm going to now
beer,
recede
batter,
within
onion
myself.
rings.
But that would be kind of cool. I mean, in terms of like diversifying content and making it a little bit more like, whoa, these people talk about science and drink beer. And then goodness knows who would be like, yeah.
Actually, yeah, Wavelength's a little far away is the problem. I do agree. This show is perfect for like just having a casual conversation over a beer. Like that is exactly like that, the feeling that I think the show kind of wants.
We drank at the end of the show for quite a while. So.
Did you really? At 11 a.m.?
Yeah, there is, yeah.
I love it.
Kind of.
Kind of.
It's a kind of a science brew. It's not the same as Wavelength. Yeah. It's not
Have you been to Bottle Logic?
No.
Why don't
That's the one.
Why don't we bring Wavelength up here?
Yeah.
Bring Wavelength up here?
Like a keg?
I'm gonna start a second.
Like a whole bar. Let's get a bartender too.
Tell Wavelengths to open up.
Bottle
And,
Logic's
like, a
cool. It's in
science
Anaheim.
bartender. That would be fun.
Oh, they could open up like in the Opera House room. A beer
They
thing.
could open up in the Opera House, she says.
It might take me a while, but I think I could get through a keg of
Opera House.
of Redshift.
You'd survive?
That you're not doing anything after that though, because you'd be useless. Yeah.
If we go to an opera house, can I wear a ball gown?
Can I wear my best overalls?
And I like
Do you
have
understand
sparkles.
why she said Opera House?
Can I be there in person?
Why?
Because our other room in here, one of the other rooms in here was the Opera House.
What do you
We'll
mean
loop
by
back
it was
around to
the
that.
opera house? Okay, we'll talk about it later.
So Dwight Stephen Boniecki is asking, what do I need to write? And I think this is in regards to like tweeting stuff out. I'm not entirely sure what to say, but it's definitely a whatever.
Watching now.
He has a
Hashtag
great
TMRO.
French
At
voice.
TMRO.
I mean,
This is awesome. I don't know. That's
or
literally what I do.
general points that you like or things. I was watching the show and doing OS 10 updates, and certain things got me to thinking, like, where does the prosthetics end, right? So you talk about, chopping off a leg, and then Jared said, I just want to be full robot already. And then, but that is ultimately like, do we just eventually just download your consciousness into a machine and then send you out to the stars?
And then this is when it gets into a very interesting philosophical debate, because then you start getting at the essence of existence in general. Like,
and what makes you human?
yeah, is it like substance dualist, or does our consciousness exist separately from our physical vessels, or is it all one package? package, or are we just a physical vessel? You cannot upload your consciousness onto a thumb drive.
I don't care. I just don't want to deal with my sinuses anymore. I'm tired of it.
But then you wouldn't have that trademark Jared voice. I mean, and then everyone's heart will be broken.
I could get something to. I would think that a
Bicentennial Man, but that was Robin Williams.
I would think that a society that has the ability to upload a consciousness to a system that
can
could
fix your
do it
sinuses
should be able
to fix your deviated septum.
Have my voice sound exactly like it does now too.
Yeah.
So, if not, they got some problems.
So I think like what Ben would.
Bicentennial Man, he was robot going into
Humanhood.
And but
Reverse.
Film that I can't remember what it is. He died and put his consciousness into the machine or robot or what. It
I
wasn't
would
a robot, but it was into the.
Pay top dollar for that.
Into the cloud.
Into the cloud.
Upload me into the cloud.
Where is he? He's with the clouds now. Oh, he passed away? No, he's in the cloud.
No,
He's in the
did you
cloud.
see that film?
I don't think so.
I think we're going to need to buy 50 gigs.
Athena, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was writing it back to Dwight. Because I know that's what you were leading into was like, what exactly would we want to tweet about to really? And this thing, what you were saying is that like how we were talking about a really interesting conversation about prosthetics and where does that leave like humans. So I think Dwight, to answer your question, like what, like something that you would find interesting about the show would be like, whoa, they just talked about what it would be like to be a cyborg human at tomorrow, #tomorrow or something like that.
Yeah, I think continuing the conversation itself on Twitter and other media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, just continuing it and taking it to the next, whatever those next steps in the areas that interest you, that's what I'd love to see.
Yeah.
And then, we don't have Twitter integrated into the chat room today simply because from a live standpoint, Twitter doesn't matter that much right now. But, maybe we do start looking at that.
Yeah.
I kind of had
Twitter
this back burner of that, but maybe that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I've done Twitter chats before where you get together people for like maybe 30 minutes, and then we start a conversation, and then someone conducts like maybe 3 questions to 5 questions, and they'll ask a question, and like 10 of us will participate, and then like 15 people will join, and then everyone will start to join, and we're all retweeting back and forth at each other, and the whole idea is to do it for like 30 minutes, but eventually it expands into like hours and days because the conversation kind of just keeps going, and about anything, like literally like fossils or something. And what I've always done was like, actually the one I ended up participating in was for women in STEM, and so this was like 2 years ago, and we kind of just started a conversation about like who's our favorite scientist, and then that just escalated. It really became a snowball effect of different things. So that might be a really good thing, and if you guys want to join in, we can do that too, and like we'll ask a question and we all kind of just feed off of each other.
Cool idea.
Yeah.
We could ask the initial question like with the Tomorrow account, and then we could all generate like tweets and retweets from it from our own personal accounts to make it grow like more.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast Twitter grows.
What I think makes sense for both space and science is I think we should add another live role to both shows, which is social. It's a person that doesn't actually show up on the show, but they're listening to the show and pushing it back out to Twitter and continuing those conversations through those different platforms and actually maintaining all of that.
Social media.
Yeah, just making the show more social and pushing it out into wherever. I'm using Twitter as an example, but I think it could be more than just Twitter. And looking for that and then finding a way to. I would actually love to then incorporate all of that back into the live show itself. I think that's our magic sauce, is the fact that we're live. You can have these conversations and actually be, everyone can be a part of the show. I think that's the cool thing. So I'll send out an email afterwards, figure out what makes sense for the group, because
I think that would be really good. Yeah, especially too, it's like while, because we're doing the live show, we can't really, like I try to actively tweet and put on Instagram and stuff and like story, like when you guys were on. But I think having someone here also pushing different things that are said, like there's so much like goals literally in this chat room. I love the things that you guys are saying, and I wish I can just grab bits and pieces and hold on to them and like have a separate. I know like it probably gets archived. I'm not really too sure.
Not well.
No,
yeah,
okay.
I screenshot. Like anytime there's a golden comment, I do little screenshots. I'm like, hey.
I mean, to be fair, yes, everything's archived. There's a text file that Colton has of like every conversation. I think he goes back to like Space Vidcast season 1. Right?
Wow.
I mean, like, he has 10 years worth of these archives.
Amazing.
It is amazing, but there isn't an easy way for you to get access to that without just saying, hey, send me the archive from
and
today.
then I have to like scan through all of it.
You have to scan through all of it, yeah. 10 years of archive, yeah. So it's incredible how much data he has. It's just that there isn't a front end to that data where you can actually go back in and be like, hey, show me all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I would love to get that, but I think the priorities right now are, taking the current chat interface, getting that bi-directional communication. He's got some of that working right now, so that when you say something in chat, you're also saying it on Twitch and you're saying it on YouTube, being able to pull in Twitter and then push back out to
That's
Twitter as
so
well.
cool.
One from this one interface. So I think that's where the priority is. And then later we can be like, oh, show me all the stuff from the past.
Right.
Search through it, things like that.
Yeah. So I think as far as like trying to take it now outside of the show, like once obviously we finish After Dark, it's kind of like to gain that momentum, I think is what you're
we lose the
thinking of,
momentum
right?
in between each Saturday, I think, and we could definitely do a better job of keeping that momentum going throughout the week. And like Space Pod and stuff help, but like it's not a consistent story. So
yeah, well, I do love like after the show, I do end up getting like a few tweet-ats from people from the conversation, and I'll start having conversations with them on Twitter and stuff. And I love that, like from someone maybe I didn't know until the show, and that we kind of virtually met each other. But I think we can maybe do like Tuesday tweet chats or something, if anything, like just for fun, because like we always like talking about this stuff, and there's constantly new things that are coming out, and I think that continuing that conversation all the time throughout the week is it's fun. And that's the thing with social media too, is it's not like we have to devote like 3 hours like we do right now with this to really focus on it. I think that we can do it while like I'm on a train, or there's no trains out here. Okay, well I'm an Uber.
There are, just there
I mean,
are.
I'm taking the metro. And I think that's awesome. Like I simultaneously multitask, and have conversations with people at the same time as doing other things. And I think that's really cool about the internet. We could totally be incorporating that, because we've gained such an awesome community here. So yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
I think Smokey Durg actually brings up a very important point that we need to address seriously, saying eventually the Tomorrow Chat Archive will become self-aware. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because we here at Tomorrow really like to be proactive in the safety of all things, whether human or technological. So thank you for bringing that up. It is definitely one of our concerns, and we will be addressing it. Just kidding. But yeah, no, I thought that was funny.
Become self-aware. I was getting real. I'm like, why is Jay getting so serious? I was like, they're referring to like,
we had that AI conversation.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, a few episodes back. I just thought that was kind of cute.
I wonder. So I'm thinking the social person. I keep thinking as someone who would be in studio, and that's kind of nice because then you can do like Instagram stories and kind of walking around.
Yeah.
Those are fun. Actually, I enjoy seeing those from you.
Yeah,
They're neat to see some of those behind the. Yeah, you see a little bit behind the scenes. You get to peel back the curtain a little bit, which I think is cool. But maybe it doesn't need to be. I mean, maybe it could just be someone in the community that's watching live that can maybe do this, and maybe we just we promote one user per week. Whoever wants it, we hand them the baton and be like, that's this person, and maybe we we highlight them in the show itself. If that's something the community would be interested in as well. Like, would you enjoy being given the baton of like social butterfly? I don't know what the term would be.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Social. I am the social butterfly.
Like have them do a Tomorrow takeover?
Social unicorn.
As in like they get them to log in and then they would take over?
Yeah, they would actually have access to potentially have access to the Tomorrow account. See, I go a little scary unless there's a way to do that.
Yeah, there are. I've done it before for accounts.
Sure. So access to the Tomorrow account, and then they get to tweet out on behalf of the show during the show, and then maybe they get the account for the week, and they're the social media manager, or they're the social unicorn. Go ahead, Lisa.
Oh yeah, because then like they could become like there's like rotating curated Twitter accounts. It could be like that, except like people from the space community. So we're like creating a community of cool space people that talk about cool space stuff, but also talk about our show at the same time. But it's not us actually self-promoting ourselves, so it seems more legitimate and real. And I think we should do that.
Okay. Kind of like, what is it called? Science Circus or Space Circus? Science Circus?
You mean like real scientists?
No. But yes. Yeah.
There's also a Twitter called People of Space that's similar.
People of Space on Twitter?
People _of_. People of
Space. Space.
And Helldesk, your idea is actually interesting. Would it have an impact if I notified a random Twitter famous science person when a show is underway? Yeah. I think that if it comes from the community and being like, hey, this is something you might enjoy, that's one thing. If it comes from us, then it seems self-serving.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is funny because it is still, like me requesting it's a little bit self-serving.
But it's like the first rule of PR. It's like, make it seem like it's organic, like it's actually like, versus like self-promotion.
If you're enjoying it and you think that Twitter famous person would enjoy it and you're not just like shoving it in their face, then yeah, I think you should. I think that would actually be pretty cool. But it's not something that I think should come from the TMRO proper account because I think that would be, again, kind of self-serving.
Yeah, I definitely think like an Instagram. I'm sorry. Wait, do we have it? We don't have an Instagram.
Should we?
We've reserved an Instagram.
I'm terrible. Look,
I can help. I could just create it.
Just
sure. I can do it.
Awful at social media. I don't even do my own Instagram.
Yeah.
Ben, your Instagram description's wrong. You should fix that. Athena, I created an account just that we would have the name so no one else would steal it. But also, like, someone has Tomorrow, but I had to get Tomorrow TV because,
Oh, well, if someone has TMRO, maybe we can buy it off of them. Are they active?
Yeah, they buy and sell accounts all the time. Let me see. I'm looking. Is it not active?
How do you buy it? How do you buy an Instagram
We'll talk about
account?
that not on After Dark. Yeah, I don't see actually any.
By the way, that's how we got youtube.com/TMRO. That was already taken. I had to buy it. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't see any on Instagram, so I guess if there isn't one, then we can just do that. But I don't even see TMRO.tv. You said you have TMRO TV? Oh, there it is. Okay. I'll follow. Okay, and it's private. Yeah. Well, I would be obsessed to try and like throw some stuff together on that one account. It's so much fun.
Yeah, we could use Instagram. That'd be cool.
We should.
Instagram is a huge thing for a huge group of people.
Yeah, and videos are
I'm
like.
one of those kind of like, I'll look at it every now and then because people force me into getting it. But
yeah.
There's a huge Instagram community out there, so
Yeah.
it would be worth it to tap into it at least.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I like the Twitter. I like the social Twitter stuff. I think the Instagram stuff is neat. I still haven't figured out what to do with Facebook. And yeah, all right, cool. We'll put some of this in work.
The Facebook.
Do we have side pods that we need to record? No?
None of us.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
No, I completely forgot. It wasn't in the rundown, and I was like, oh yeah, and then I meant to ask about it. I was like, I literally wrote a note too. It'd be like, ask in Discord channel about SciPod, but it was at like 2 a.m. that I woke up and thought of it, and then I was like, and then I never ended up asking
So
you guys.
ask in Discord at 2 a.m.
I know, but it was like 2 a.m. I don't want you guys think I was weird and awake at that time.
it's
Come
just-
on. I guess I am always
Athena,
awake
we
at that
know
time.
you're weird. There's posting in Discord at 2 a.m. won't change that at all.
In case we weren't sure.
There's posting in Discord at 2 a.m. all the time.
We send on our time. She posts whenever she posts, and we get it when we get it. So
Yeah. Now calling us all at 2 a.m. That's a different
I would do
level.
that. I would do like a conference call. Conference call. Hey guys, Lisa would be happy.
An apology to Colton. When I did my Australian Q&A thing, which, by the way, we should do more of because that was cool. I called Colton, and it was like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning because the chat was broken. So thank you, Colton, on behalf of me and the Tomorrow team for being amazing and waking up that early to fix the chat.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Also, is there such thing as an AM in the evening? Sorry, just had to point that out. You said AM in the morning, and I always laugh at when people say that because I'm like, but there's no AM in the evening. But I love you, Lisa. I'm just messing with you.
Oh, my bad.
I used to say that all the time, and then I realized it's like that doesn't really make sense. It's like saying like it's like 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah.
That it? Are we? I think we're winding down then.
I think so.
I think so.
All right. Thank you, everyone. By the way, if you have ideas on how to help get the show out there above and beyond what we just talked about, I'm all ears. Benjamin at TMRO.tv, or post them on any of our social channels and just let us know what you think. Open to ideas. I want to get the shows in front of broader audiences, but grow again. We want to grow smartly. We don't want it to. I don't want to clickbait things and start getting audience members that are here for the wrong reasons, if that makes sense.
I think ultimately that's going to be just a little inevitable, but you can definitely make it so that you get as little of that as possible.
Yeah, as long as we do it intelligently, as long as we're smart about it, and frankly, the community itself will have a large role in that as well. Rule number one for that is just don't engage, right? You see someone who wants to try to create a ruckus, don't engage. They'll get bored, they will go away. It's really hard to
like a
not
rash.
engage. It's really, really hard to
Don't
not engage.
itch. It'll go away.
Don't itch. It will go
The
away.
rash will go away.
And I will say, our community, 99% of you guys and gals, you're amazing at that.
Yeah. Except a cat called Chaos. That won't go away. The cat's gonna stay there forever.
No,
Oh my
it's
God.
gonna
All
be
right, on that note, I
third-
think we are done. I'd like to thank everyone for watching Space and Science. We've got a show to edit, and thank you, Lisa, for being up absurdly early in the morning.
Thanks, Lisa.
Fun.
Bye, everyone.
Gonna be in studio. See you.